All right, we're getting started, folks. We're pretty close. Hit that like right before we jump in here. Let them know you're there. Let everybody know we're here. That's how we do it. This is how we do it. Oh, yeah. And then, of course, checking everything else. There we go.
Stinks, Hillary.
There we go.
I know words. I had the best words. Criminal. Look, wait. I know words. I had the best words. Obama. Criminal. Look, wait. You know, we just set another sock rocket. You saw that, right? Would I approve waterboarding?
Deliberately, willfully, and with total premedication.
That one still tickles me. That one yeah.
Asshole.
I know.
Lumpy pillows kiss my ass.
All right, it's not this close to Easter. Shame on you. The mouth on this guy.
He can do things with his tongue you wouldn't believe.
Oh, it's terrible. I can't. It's just rude.
I know words. I had the best words.
That's true. My favorite word is criminal. Look.
Look, wait.
It's pretty good. It's a good word. Infantryman is it's a difficult one, even when you care about what it says. Imagine if you didn't give a shit.
Combat infantrymen.
Yeah, that's what you'd end up saying. And of
The
course,
demonstrators who infiltrated the Capitol have defied the seat of justice. It's defiled, right? See, I can't see it very well.
all right, let's get this show started. People are waiting long enough. I'm going to jump in here real quick. Good morning, everybody. Hello. And oh my gosh, why am I gigantic on Instagram? What the heckadoodle has happened right here? What in the ever-loving hell? I am enormous. I mean, I'm not against it, but good Lord, simmer. For some reason, I don't know. That's good. I'm just showing up big on people's phones right now. Jesus, I'm coming at you in your phone, waving at you, hit the like, and make all kinds of disgusting emojis. Joining me right now, right out of the gate on this lovely Monday, it's our dear friend, Major Ojeda. How are you, sir? Good to see you, airborne and such.
Airborne, I think it's great,
yeah.
man. Easter, we are now past Easter, and did you get any entertainment in watching one of maybe, I don't know, 80 different truths that Donald Trump did on Easter that had nothing to do with Easter?
Good. Well, he did wish happy Easter to the people he hates and the terrible treasonous bastards and whatever. Yeah. Happy Easter, you bastards. I mean, all of it sounds like something like, Norma Desmond in Sunset Boulevard. If she wasn't deluded about her place in Hollywood and it was like, it wasn't me. The pictures got small. I can do anything with my eyes. That whole bit. If she actually realized everybody was making fun of you sons of bitches, and she just came down the stairs, I'm ready for my close-up, Mr. DeMille, clack, clack. Like if she had gone that fucking far off the deep end.
It just doesn't stop. It doesn't stop. There is no level to how low someone will go. I mean, I still see, people like, we got a guy that's hawking Bibles during the Holy Week who has nothing to do with religion whatsoever.
Never read it. Isn't gonna read it. I have to find this at some point. Like I'm gonna have to go and look this up. I'll probably have it I'll definitely have it by the afternoon show for people. But there was this one. I'm sure you saw it, Major. By the way, turnleftpack.org. Please sign up for their mailing list. They have cool merch and they have art. There is a mission to get everybody to give a shit about voting again and to understand that, like, there are only red states largely because a lot of Democrats just gave up on voting, assuming the state goes that way. And the major is pushing back on that in a huge way, in a major way, no pun intended. Yeah.
One of our candidates is actually leading the pack right now in Colorado's 4th congressional district. And that's Ike McCorkle, who is running against Lauren Boebert. But he's a Democrat and he's leading in the polls. He's a retired Marine captain. He is Purple Heart recipient, special operations guy. Yeah,
Right.
I'm telling you, folks, squared away. Check him out.
Great. It's fascinating to me that you know, like, well, the Alabama race, I think, is the one that's most people are paying attention to right now too. That everybody's like, wait a minute, a Democrat won in Alabama? Yes,
30 points. 30 points.
Trounced. Yeah. Right. Well, I mean, first of all, do you think it's all just Dems finally getting the message together and understanding you can be sharp and pointed and funny, and not venture into evil Donald Trump scatological shitty behavior room? Or do you think it's him talking people out of voting, or both?
Well, I mean, I think there's a big. I think it's both. I think that people are seeing the kindness and the accomplishments of Joe Biden, but on top of that, I mean, they're also looking at Donald Trump. I mean, you know, the guy just it's a never ending record. It's a broken record. It's the same garbage over and over again. And you know, I mean, all the evidence. You know, I'll be honest with you. I'm so disappointed because you know now they're talking about they may have to postpone this new case again. Finally, will look prosecute this guy. Nobody on the face of the earth has ever been given a bigger pass than Donald Trump. And the truth is, it's not fair. It's not right for us to send people to prison. We've got 3 people in the last 6 months. A female that stole a classified document, 5 years. You had a 23-year-old male that shared a few pictures with his buddies on while they were gaming on Discord, Xbox, and that guy just got sentenced to 16 years. And you got another guy that's 23 years old who actually was paid $42,000 from a Chinese agent for information. That guy's going to get about 35 years because he actually exchanged cash. That guy's going down. And this is another thing too. If Donald Trump took classified documents because he felt they were a sentimental thing for him, okay, let's look at that. Okay, if he was going to do that, why did he have to take thousands of records? And that's what people have to understand. Donald Trump stole thousands, all of those boxes. Each box had about 150 to 200 classified documents in it. There were boxes that were stacked up to the ceilings in the bathroom. On the stage, they lined the entire length of the stage. Donald, this wasn't, I just took a couple records because they were sentimental to me. Donald Trump stole classified documents that dealt with nuclear capabilities, our submarines, our nukes, our military strength. And I'm going to tell you right now, I guarantee you that because every day more stuff surfaces about Donald Trump, we are going to get to that day when we find out, not only do we know that he stole classified documents, but we're going to find out who he sold classified documents. Because I'm telling you right now, this is what that is about. Donald Trump saw dollar signs in classified documents. And there are already people that believe that he has sold classified documents.
Right. Well, there's, you know, I think one of the things that's coming out because of the P. Diddy and Epstein stories that are coming out is that there is, and it's fucking Florida, man. It's like Sean Combs' fucking Miami house and Epstein's house and all these motherfuckers engage in this weird, like, leverage blackmail. You know, if you can't get the cash, get the power over the person that has the cash. And, you know, or do something in exchange for that. You know, that's the barter system they operate on. Crypto, it's like, think of it as like cryptocurrency. This is where they just engage in shitty behavior on each other's behalf in exchange for, you know, favors and whatnot. The Chinese call it guanxi. You know, you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. But, you know, if you're morally, you know, a vacuum like Donald Trump is, who gives a shit? You know what I mean? Like you'll play in this pond until it doesn't serve you anymore. I think there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be exposed in the near future, and it's coming out. You know, and I'm going to tell you now that we know that P. Diddy or Puffy, whatever you want to call him, I don't give a shit what you want to call him. Sean Combs, that's his actual name.
He actually had every single room in that house was bugged, was cameras. Because once again, this was all about, we're going to find out that they, you know, blackmail each other through, and this we'll probably find out that in the land of the rich, wealthy, and powerful, that's how business is done.
Right.
It's blackmail. It's what can you do? If I scratch your back, what can you scratch mine? I mean, I think we're going to start to see more of this stuff. And, it's coming out with Hollywood. But I'm telling you, I mean, there are sick people across the spectrum. I mean,
well, yeah.
Matt Gaetz.
Look at it this way. Like, Hollywood gets a bad rap in this. But first of all, Sean Combs had nothing to do with fucking Hollywood. First of all, you could say it's L.A. because of hip hop, but that's not even his thing. Like hip hop is a nationwide art form, and most of these motherfuckers live in, whether they came out of some perceived hood or something, they live in Miami and they have houses in the fucking Caymans. And don't talk to me about this gangster shit when they've been doing white parties. The minute you can throw your own white party, you're no longer gangster. I don't know how it may be a different kind, maybe some sort of like Scarface-y kind of Al Pacino gangster. But in all these areas, like Hollywood gets a bad rap because these motherfuckers are famous. It's not the same thing. If you really look at it, Epstein was in finance and Trump's in real estate, and there's a lot of overlap with these motherfuckers. The guy that Epstein's biggest client, how did he reward Jeffrey Epstein? He gave him a $70 million apartment, like a 3-story house in that house he's famous for in New York. Gave it to him for $1. Gave him a $70 million home for $1. That is this kind of behavior, that kind of Epstein shit wrapped up in real estate.
You got to wonder what did Epstein have on this guy?
Jesus. Or what did he offer him? Well, there's two versions of this. One is if you don't do what we say, we'll show what you did, right? That seems to be what Puff Daddy was up to, what Sean Combs was up to, and to some degree Epstein certainly as well. But there's also this, if you do what we say, we'll reward you with what you like, which is what I would argue is the Scott Ritter methodology. Scott Ritter, who was an IAEA, inspector and all that kind of shit. Funny how he just got stationed in Russia for a little while. And then while he's stationed in Russia is a sweet gig, it really wasn't a lot of work to be done, a lot of downtime. Suddenly comes back to the United States and thinks he can just fuck a 15-year-old and gets arrested trying to, gets to catch a predator moment, goes to jail for 2 fucking years, and now he's out shitting on America and Joe Biden and trying to get Trump back in office and defending Vladimir Putin everywhere. Again, is that because they've got leverage on him, or is this the only way he gets to go back there and engage in the shit he's involved in free and clear?
Yeah, probably that.
Jesus Christ. But hey, look, you and I can't judge. Who are we to judge when Donald Trump is clearly a winner? Here he is. I don't know if you've seen this. This is the great Jack Nicklaus giving him the receiving the club champion trophy from him. Which, by the way, I got to say, it looks like they just grabbed a fucking vase off of one of the credenzas and handed it to him. And then put your hand in front of it so it looks like, because it's last year's. We're not even going to make a new one or whatever. Just cover what's like etched on the front of it with your hand.
Yeah. It's an absolute joke. I mean, this Donald Trump is the most unhealthy president to ever occupy the chair. There's just everything about him that is just gross.
It's just fucking ridiculous.
It really bothers me that in this country that we still have people, a significant amount of people. I mean, whether it's, whether this is the red flag that says, hey, look, if we don't start doing better when it comes to our children's education, we're going to become a complete and utter nation of morons. And I'm telling you, because that's what these people are.
Yeah.
You cannot stand on a street corner and scream about how Donald Trump gives a shit about everybody when he doesn't. Clearly he doesn't. Right. I mean, it amazes me all of the passes that he gets.
Right.
Grab him by the pussy. They gave him a pass.
Right.
But I mean,
But they're good Christian people. Right.
Yeah. He tried to monetize COVID. He tried so many ways to figure out how he could make money from COVID before ever really trying to solve COVID. It was all about him making money. And I just,
that's right.
It sickens me because once again, we lost 1.3 million Americans. So, and I'm hoping that out of every one of those 1.3 million Americans that had to lose their life to COVID, I hope they were all Republicans. Well, yeah, because that's
because it was by choice.
Million. Yeah, but that's 1.3 million votes you're not going to get anymore. That's my thought. Is at least a good
over half of them are, and not because they have pre-existing conditions, although many of them do. That because they make the same kind of health choices that they make, in terms of their politicians. It's not like you're a fuck around and find out in one area of your life. Usually it spreads across a few areas, but a good portion of it. I mean, the death rate in red states. I mean, they did a meta study of it. Way higher per capita and even in the areas where people are spaced out and didn't run into each other from it, which should be the one thing that protects you. The one thing that you could probably say would have helped you the most is if you had a fucking cabin in the woods and didn't need to see anybody for a couple of years, you could have skated through that shit and not even been aware of it. You'd think that these states would be kind of immune to it in the rural areas, but it's a lot of faux rural, and you know this as well as I do, that areas where I grew up, where there were there's one major paved road, one old paved road nobody bothers to fix, and a shit ton of dirt roads in an area, all of a sudden have, in the last, 35 years especially, have gotten a strip mall, if not near town, close to town, right? And so these people are still telling themselves they're living this kind of countrified, off the grid, frontier lifestyle, and they fucking aren't. They drive their pickup truck to the mall, and that's it. Like, they don't use it for anything. Yeah.
Or the Dollar General that's on every corner now.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Selling and by the way, kind of selling from a food standpoint, garbage. And so I happen to think like I don't want anybody to die of I'll give you an example. So this weekend I drove to LA and I did my show Friday night. I hope the Patreons loved it. It was a good time. It was a very strange thing. I had it was really exciting. I had almost a heckler. He tried so hard, but he just failed. So he ended up leaving and calling me Joe Biden as he left, which is weird because that set wasn't even political at all. He just kind of said it and left like that's the source of all his problems. Like, dude, I got news for you. An 81-year-old man in Washington, D.C. isn't why you're an asshole, right? Which is that's not it. That's not, nobody is thinking about, Joe Biden when they go, Jesus Christ, this guy's breath is killing me. You know what I mean? You can't outsource everything.
If you want to paint me in a corner with a guy that is probably the greatest jobs president that we've ever had,
right?
A guy who has forgiven over 4 million people's predatory student loans. And then we could just go down. CHIPS Act, PACT Act, insulin tax. We got inhalers are capped now. We got Joe Biden trying to make it
hearing aids.
Everybody gets $2,000 medical for your prescription cost is the max for the year. I mean, everything. He's killing it. I'll be happy. I'll be happy if you call me that I'm the next Joe Biden. I'll be happy.
Well, I know. That's what I was saying. I just went because I hadn't, my regular stand-up, I steer clear of politics because I have a great outlet here. And I also have the Sexy Liberal Comedy Tour, which, by the way, next date is Minneapolis, followed by Philadelphia. We'll see you there, sexyliberal.com/tour. And anyways, point being is that I was driving back Saturday. I did my show. It took me 11 hours to drive back from LA because right outside of Baker on the 15, there was a major accident that ground all traffic to a dead stop. That was it. People were there were people diverting off into Baker early on it, and I hung around there a little bit, and I was like, I'll try and, start sneaking through and I got the line, and it took me 3 hours from Baker to go 3 miles. Wow. A mile an hour. Wow. And nobody, it was so bad, nobody was even bitching about it. You know how when sometimes it moves a little bit and people are like, what the fuck is going on? They know it's an accident, but they're not, they're back and forth. This was so slow and so fucked up that everybody seemed to know, like, whatever we're going to pass up here is going to be bad. It's going to be awful. And what had happened was some dickhead driving southbound decided to go into the median between the two lanes, which is dirt, and dips down in that area. It is a trough. And when there are crossroads, like little areas where the cops can go across, it ramps up and then it goes back down again. And apparently what it looked like this guy did was he decided to go around all this traffic he didn't like. He went into that area, hit this thing up, went into the southbound lane and hit another car and killed 2 children and paralyzed a mother. And it was just fucking awful. And this guy apparently walked away with a broken leg, although he's going to go to jail. But, like, there were 6 other cars that were engaged in it because it hit this first one and then spun out. But that was the major one. And it was so fucking terrible that I saw my fellow citizens, miles of them, go, you know what? There but for the grace of God go I. I didn't see a single person stomping around doing what the fuck. And when you pass something like that, fucking Easter, the Saturday before Easter, just terrifying and terrible. That you think of all these people who are just if you listen to Glenn Beck, you'd think that happened to him every weekend.
Yeah.
Like he was in that wreck.
And that driver's an immigrant.
Of course. By the way, I haven't I don't know that they've released any major information, but if that was a detail, it'd be out somewhere by now. That's how this shit works.
Absolutely.
But I want to say also that this was one of the Easter messages you were talking about from Trump. This is and I don't know how to look at this shit. This is a grown man on Easter who wants to be president of the United States. I don't know any way you could show more contempt for this country and less patriotism than to go, this is the man. This is the dude.
And everybody, if I don't know if you're going to read that to them or everybody take a chance, but this was one of 77 messages like this one on, Easter Sunday, because Donald Trump thought that was the best time to sit there and throw stones. I mean,
he wasn't busy.
He is a child. He is a friggin' child is what he is.
Right.
He is a ruthless, just lying, cheating, conniving child is what he is. And he's literally on the verge. I mean, he's holding us all hostage.
Yeah.
And all of us have to sit here and we've got to hope and pray that all of these stupid, dumb motherfuckers that are out here that have the damn nerve to look into a camera and say, Donald Trump's fighting for us.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sick and fucking tired of watching people who are so fucking backwoods. The only thing that social distanced was their fucking teeth. I'm so sick and tired of those fucking people that are literally putting us all in jeopardy. I mean, we should literally have, and I know this is, there should be a damn test you have to take right before you walk into the boat to the ballot box, because these people would then not be a problem.
Well, that was something Republicans tried for a very long time, usually because they could deny education to certain whites they wanted to keep down, which used to be the Appalachian whites and that kind of stuff, who voted Democratic, largely because of the pro-union stance, because of the jobs orientation, the idea of one person, one vote, that kind of thing, or black people in particular. They knew they could deny them good teachers and good schools, and then they could, and then you made a literacy test necessary. You knew none of them could pass it because you made the test and you fixed the schools. Same thing.
It's gotten so bad that I'm going to tell you, and I think everybody pretty much knows that our schools, public education is the worst, because public education is constantly being attacked and their funding is being diverted to things like charter schools. But I'm going to tell you that it's become the norm that teachers teach the exam. That's what they teach. They teach the exam, and all the exams are multiple choice. There's 4. It's A, B, C, or D. 2 of the answers are absolutely out there. They're so far out that you shouldn't miss that question. And then you got the correct answer, and then there's another answer that's somewhat. But I mean, that's what it's become. Everything is now multiple choice. Nobody has to write anything out anymore. I mean, it's only a matter of time before they basically just start or basically just stop teaching math and just basically tell everybody you got to go get you a scientific calculator and we're going to teach you how to use that.
Well, so my kid is 12. He'll be 13 in May. Very excited. Teen years coming up. And he's a good man. He's a good young man, and I'm very proud of him. But they have his state testing this week. He's had his state testing, and math starts today. And he did all the language stuff, and he's gonna kill it. He's aces it. He gets his homework done early and stuff. Sometimes I'm like, we need to have another DNA test because I don't know what this is. You're doing your homework early. I don't know. Who are you, and what have you done with my son? But he, he's one of those kids who outpaces the class, right? Most of the time. And his area is pretty darn good. Like, I'm very involved in the school. So I go there and I do in-person meetings with his teachers. And every week we go over his, what he's learned and what he's and sort of deeper into what he's learning. Again, it's not about what you learn, it's how to learn, right? That's what you're really learning there, because a lot of this you won't remember because it won't be important to you. Some of you will, hopefully, but a good portion of it is just like how to learn and remember things that are germane to what you're doing. The problem with what you're talking about is like kind of testing people out of this is that the Republicans do this thing where they really want funding to be tacked to results specifically, and not results like these kids were here and then they got better, like improvements based on the area and the socioeconomic standards, or them versus secondary socioeconomic standards in another area. They got a rich area, the kids have tutors and that kind of shit, they're doing okay, but the kids in the poor area, they, what are they like in terms of other poor areas across the country? That's the only way you can tell whether one poor area school, which I went to in Peaks Mill, and arguably even Frankfort, in Franklin County High, where I went to, which is the fucking capital. Frankfort is the capital of Kentucky, but still not a hugely funded school, right? My middle school got more money than my high school did. I don't know what the fuck that was about. But whatever they funded into, I guess because once you got past that point, nobody gave a shit. Most kids left high school and went off and did other shit or quit anyway. So I guess they were really trying to, that was where the boost was attempted. But in these areas, that's the only way you could tell, is, weight by weight. But what they want to do is match it to, they've got to hit these numbers, or we're going to spend our money someplace else at charter schools or other shit. But those standards aren't measurable based on the area that they're in, so they know they'll never meet it, because it's always a new group of poor kids. It's always kids who are working harder than everybody else. It's always kids that are denied something. They know what the shitty school they went to for elementary school, they know they're coming into middle school and high school with less than the other kids did. So they can guarantee, they're like, well, this fucking. So what ends up happening is you get these scandals where people fix the numbers. They just pass, or they just start passing kids. We got to do a thing where our kids just pass. And they do that because of the funding shit, and it's like a snake eating its tail.
It becomes the conversation throughout the entire school with the teachers. I mean, it's like teachers don't get to inspire anymore because they're too busy having to teach exactly what they're told that they have to teach. And it's sad. I will tell you, with what you just described, you would literally be considered probably a phenomenal parent, because I'm going to tell you this. So. I spent 4 years after I retired from the Army. I spent 4 years in the high school, and I taught JROTC. So, JROTC is not math, science. We teach people how to be better citizens. We teach them about conflict resolution. We show them all kinds of life skills. But, at the end of the day, when it was parent-teacher conference, most of those kids going to the school that I was the schools that I did that stuff in, I mean, their parents pretty much thought that, well, the only way our kids getting out here is if they joins the military, because everybody's poor.
Right.
But I'm going to tell you, an entire parent-teacher conference,
Thanks, Jardina.
we got to stay after school because the parents are going to be here. I never saw more than 3 parents show up on any given night because nobody, I mean, it's sad and it depends on where you're at. But I mean, a lot of people look at the education system as a daggone babysitting service.
Right.
And parents are not participating in the education of their kids the way that they should, which is why, you know, we allow the teachers to teach the exam. And I'm going to tell you, nobody fails anymore. I mean, if the average high school kid really knew the truth, and that is that they're not going to, they will even expel you. But on graduation day, be ready to walk across that stage and get your diploma. And that's a fact. I remember we kicked a kid out of school on the second week of high school. He was a senior. We caught him selling drugs in the restroom. And he was expelled from school. And to be honest with you, I was like, great. Because he was a little asshole. You know, he was an ass. Guess what? Just because they're high school kids don't mean that they're not assholes. Some of the worst, most
I was one at one point.
Some of the most cruel students that you'll ever meet in your life are those little girls with social media. But you know, I'm going to tell you, on graduation day, we got all the seniors and they're lined up in their cap and gown, and I'm walking down and I'm saying, hey, you know, because a lot of them, hey, congratulations, this is your day. And lo and behold, what the hell are you doing here? You know, he gets to graduate. He didn't go to school. He didn't go to any special school. He just stayed home and played video games. And on graduation day, he got to come and graduate because they will not let anybody fail. And here's why. Because the principal of the school wants to be able to say, our school has 100% graduation rate. That's all it's about.
Yeah.
Bullshit numbers.
Right. And I would argue that by doing that, you fail everybody.
Yes.
Because on the one hand, you're passing people that don't deserve to pass, and you're not giving them the education they need by holding them back or directing them someplace else or giving them other interventions or what have you.
It's a disservice to them.
Yeah. And the kids that do pass or that do work hard, the fuck is their diploma worth at that point?
Yeah, what's the incentive?
What school did you go to? Well, the thing is, like, what school did you go to? I went to that one. Oh, they fucking pass everybody. Like, how are you going to get into a good school in that regard because you come from the high school that passes everybody with your, you know, even if your numbers are good, that's relative, you know, to the, you know, maybe they have a bell curve. Maybe that's the standard amongst the students where you are. That's lowered by the area. It's just, it's bad. The
last 2 months of every single year of school, the last 2 months are the worst 2 months for the teachers. And here's why. Because you have a significant amount of seniors that now realize that there's not a damn thing you can do about it, and they're going to graduate, and you can't keep them in the class. I mean, like, I can remember taking people, walking them into people's classes, sitting them down in a chair, and as soon as I walk out this door, they're already going out the other door. I mean, and the thing is there's nothing I could do. I mean, it got to the point where the principal was just like, don't worry about it. Really? I mean, I'm a disciplinarian. It's not easy for you to tell me to not worry about shit that I know is wrong.
Because you're shaping them for the rest of their lives. And if that's the story, it's no wonder that a bunch of them, and you know, this, I mean, it's a greater conversation to be had. I think you and I would agree on what I would call either like pathological rebellion or complaint culture, which is one of the things that's come up is that the ability to bitch about your government in the United States is a hallowed right, and it's a beautiful thing. But if you overuse it and you're always bitching about it, or you're blaming everything on it, like that dude who was in my audience the other night, which was super fucking weird, then how am I supposed to take any of your complaints seriously? And basically, you know, the right talks about bootstrapping and personal responsibility, but right now, especially since Trump took over, they're the fucking worst. Everything that's wrong in their lives is caused by Joe Biden before he even got in office.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean, they think that stuff they accuse him and Hunter of during Trump's presidency negatively affected their lives in some way. It's really weird.
Yeah, Marge the Trainwreck Green's already telling people about how she was stuck in her school during a school shooting because of President Biden. And
right.
George W. Bush was actually the president when she was in high school.
Right.
I mean, but what do you expect? I mean, it's coming from March to Trainwreck Green. But,
yeah.
But yeah, I tell you, it doesn't do these kids. You're doing these kids a disservice, because I'm gonna be honest with you, and I'll tell you what's really sad is, I come from Southern West Virginia. We are also the area that was we were the lab rats for the opioid epidemic. That's a fact. So now you are raising kids and you're not holding them accountable for anything. They get to walk across the stage and they get to graduate. So, okay, they graduate. Problem is now they can't go to any colleges. And if they did go to colleges, what they find out is that the first year you are a college student, you're going to be taking bonehead math, science, English, because you don't have the ability to start at the college level. So
it's more expensive.
Yeah, so instead of you going to college for 4 years and getting a bachelor's degree, you're going to have to do at least 5. And that's if you don't fail anything throughout the whole thing. So a lot of people say, well, screw that, I'm not going to go to college in. Well, now there's nothing for you to do in, let's say, Southern West Virginia. We've got coal mining jobs that shit all over you. And by the time you're 25 years old, you're going to be having a hard time breathing. Or we got corrections where you can be a correctional officer. Some of the lowest paid people, I was able to get corrections 2 pay raises when I was a senator. But I mean, these are the most in terms of jobs that pay the least. That's what these kids' futures are.
Right.
Well, they can't pass the ASFAB. So they're not going to get a good job. Oh, you want to be an infantryman? Okay, no problem. We'll let you. You can be a target. Yeah. You want to cook? Yeah, we'll do that. But you're not going to be able to get set up for success like other jobs, because you can't. You want to be a nurse. I got it, but you didn't score well enough to be able to merit that. So we're sorry.
Right. We talk sometimes about, for example, like the pink tax, that there are things that women have to buy that men don't have to buy. And so women shouldn't have to pay tax on those things. I think that's a fairly reasonable thing. I think feminine hygiene products specifically of any sort should be exempt up to a certain point. And then if you have these specialty ones that are fancy pants, and no pun intended, that are more expensive or more designer or whatever, maybe it's the minimum is taken off entirely, right? That amount of tax. Got it? Yeah.
Yep.
I'm for it. 100% makes total sense to me, because that's one of the areas where women have we're all running a race. They've got an extra rock in their pack that I don't have. And that's not fair. It may not amount to a lot, but it might be the difference between them at a business meeting or something, being able to pick up the check every so often as a way of ingratiating themselves and networking and that kind of shit, the way men do, whatever. There's a myriad of ways that money adds up over time. I don't care if you just take all of it, all the tax they've ever paid their whole fucking life, and it could pay for a fucking week's vacation. That's fine with me too. You know what I mean? Because you don't have to worry about it. I don't have to worry about it, right? We can just do that. The same thing is true of shitty high schools in rural areas in particular, is because this is you are throwing a rock in the pack of these kids, because like you were saying, when they have to go to 2 years of community college, or they've got to go, when they go to, if they do get accepted into university, they're gonna have to retake classes. When I moved from Kentucky to Chicago, my freshman year, I did my freshman year in Kentucky. Then my sophomore year, I moved to Chicago, lived with my dad, and went to school there. They nullified all of my freshman credits except band from my high school, because New Trier is a really good school, and they viewed my school as substandard, and they knew I couldn't, even if I tried, I wouldn't be able to test my way out of it. Now, I probably could have, but they just assumed. And it was good that they did, because I retook those classes with a real teacher, and it gave me a love of math instead of a fear of it. And it shaped if I hadn't taken that freshman algebra class over again in New Trier, I would have never have sort of had the epiphany that math is another language, and if you learn it like a language, it's much easier. I had that in a class that I had to retake because I moved. That valuable education would have been denied me if they'd have just let me test past it. But there's a very distinct difference between this shitty school and this good school. The colleges and universities I want to go to could assume a lot about the fact that I graduated from New Trier versus, and Franklin County High, I'm sure they're trying very hard. But they're way far behind any of these major schools in these, you know, nicer areas that were funded. And again, that's a capital city school. And these kids you're basically saying, you're not handing them a diploma. You're handing them a fucking cement brick and telling them to go wade in neck deep water.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, it's
through
a
life.
shame. It's a shame. I mean, just to me, it bothers me because it's like there's no way for these kids to be able to elevate themselves. You know, and I will tell you right now, where I come from, a lot of the kids that graduate from high school and go straight to Marshall University or WVU, the biggest issue with them is a lot of them go there and they last a semester, maybe two, and they can't keep up because once again, they're going to have to take either bonehead classes. And if they can't keep up, what happens is those kids end up dropping out. And when they drop out, it plants a horrible seed that says, screw that shit. I don't want to go back and do that stuff.
Right.
And it literally basically knocks them down in terms of opportunities that are available. You know, a college degree, you know, some people can say, I don't need a college degree, but a college degree opens doors. If you're in the military, I will tell you the difference between a college degree and not. A college degree allows you to become an officer in the United States Army. If you don't have a college degree, you're not going to move up that ladder. You have to. If you want to be able to compete for colonel, you got to have a master's degree. That's almost non-negotiable. The bachelor's degree is. If you're active duty in the military and you're like a sergeant, and we decide that you're such a great sergeant that we want to send you to officer candidate school, you will leave, go to officer candidate school, and you will become an officer. But when you graduate and they give you that gold bar, the one thing that they tell you is before you get to the point where you're allowed to accept a company and be a company commander, you've got to finish your bachelor's degree. So I don't give a shit what you do from here to then, but you better get your bachelor's degree or you will not be allowed to take command. And if you can't take command, you're on your way out again. They're going to say, we got to cut ties.
Right. Well, and it just you're installing your own glass ceiling in that regard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, in the military, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
And oh, by the way, even in the enlisted ranks, I tell people all the time, we are the most lethal military on the face of the earth because we're the most educated military on the face of the earth. Now, of course, our toys that we have, I'm going to tell you, you can talk all the shit you want about, the United States military today, they're a bunch of sissies. Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, how about you take your fat ass out here and do a United States military physical fitness exam? Because they all have to pass that, by the way.
Right.
But once again, their capabilities with technology. I mean, goodness gracious, we've got Ukrainians that are flying drones inside houses, going through the opening of the doors and then destroying everything inside.
Right.
We've got people that can do that stuff. And it just, it absolutely, kills me when we don't set kids up for success out of high school.
Right.
And I'm telling you, it's coming back to harness because these people that are not educated, they're easily duped. They think that Donald Trump, did you hear him last night? He was cussing and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, great.
He talks like us. That's not a good thing.
It's not. He loves the poorly educated. That's not a thing that says he loves you. He's making fun of you.
Right. I mean, this is a guy who stared at an eclipse. There's another one coming up. He might be blind by the time the election comes around.
Gosh, I hope somebody is around him with that because I guarantee his dumbass will do it again.
He'll stand outside at Mar-a-Lago and just kind of like, there it is again. What do you think? A couple of things this has been a raging conversation since we got right out of the gate, and I love that fact, and I appreciate you. I want to remind everybody, turnleftpact.org, turnleftpact.org, and get your Jackaloon merch and your with Marjorie Trailer Green and Lauren Boebert, I think, is on one of them.
We got Lauren Boebert, we got Cancun Cruise, but here's the thing too. We also have a billboard fund. And we already have billboards up busting Lauren Boebert's butt. We're going after Ted Cruz. We're hitting Kerry Lake. So if you go to turnleftpact.org,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, throw $10 towards that, but get yourself a Cancun cruise or a Jacqueline Lauren Boebert. Pick up one of those.
That's right.
And wear it. They make for great gifts.
So there are a couple of things I want to address before I lose you. And Tara Dublin Rocks is going to be on with us right after you're in here, and we'll we'll obviously sell her book and push the fact that we're going to be in Portland doing Sexy Liberal, and she'll be there, and I'll end up doing karaoke or something like that. If I can get a Nerd Halen gig in at the same time, I will.
Nice.
You have seen. I'm sure you have seen The Wild and Wonderful Whites of West Virginia, right? The movie, the documentary. Have you watched it?
I've met those people.
I know, but there, if anything, I find, having grown up in Kentucky, having done I did Revolutionary War reenactments when I was 9 years old in Virginia and in Frankfurt and in Indiana and in West Virginia. We lived in West Virginia for a short time. I hate that fucking place because that's where my dog was killed because he bit the mailman for trying to touch me, which is his job. But I only have like 4 memories of West Virginia when I lived there because I was like 3 or 4 years old for a little bit but there are a group of people, and I joke about them, as Ficus on here, but you know exactly who I'm talking about. As people like, I don't fucking know, kind of this shit. They're always doing this kind of, like, their body language is kind of adjutant testosterone mixed with idiocy, and they're just, disconnected from everybody. And then occasionally, it's so weird. They'll have moments of like lucidity and values and shit like that, and then just but fuck it. And it's really fucking sad. Because you're like, this person had potential. And at some point, somewhere along the way, somebody jerked the fucking wheel into the ditch.
Yeah, that was my, when I was the senator, that was my district. So,
fuck.
So yeah. And I'm going to tell you, it's really sad though, because they've done, you had the outlaw dancer, Jesco Goes to Hollywood. You had those videos that highlighted Jessica. And of course, the first one where he's telling his wife, if you don't stop cooking them eggs all slimy, I'm gonna cut your throat.
Yeah.
I mean that sadly you hear about Jessica White's childhood. There's a movie called White Lightning that's about his childhood. I mean, this is a wild family, but the downside about this is that they've been absolutely preyed upon. Johnny Knoxville and them come in. They absolutely did The Wild and Wonderful Whites of West Virginia, and the only people that got paid for it was Johnny Knoxville. If you go today and talk to any of those people, they would literally pull a gun on him if they were within a
they saw him,
circle.
Agreed.
But the sad part about it is that whole entire family has taken that to the next. But it's like that was done 15, 20 years ago. There's still people in that family. There's one guy, he's the one that shakes appeals. Come and get him, baby. Boone County mating call. I mean, that guy still has a nightly show. And all it is people just ripping him a new one. And him trying to act like he's got everything taken care of. And he's always selling shit. Hey, he'll hold up a pill bottle and be like, I'll autograph this for you. Just send me your address and $20. I mean, it's
well,
sad.
So for those that don't know, one of the scenes in it, if you haven't seen it, I recommend it because it's very telling. Again, because especially there are 3 tiers of what I would say maggots that we deal with on the regular. The assumption is they're all like the Wild and Wonderful Whites of West Virginia, that they are those folks. And a good portion of them that are absolutely are. They're not the ones that go to all his rallies, though, because that takes fucking money. The ones that are concerning, I think, are the ones that are ambulatory, have enough money set aside somehow, fucking whatever, to drive around the country in a fucking Winnebago and go to 95 Trump rallies like they're deadheading this dumb motherfucker, right? And then there's what I would call the villages crowd, which is, maybe they give a little, like the wife gives a little bit of lip service to, I don't like when he says the bad things, but we got to stop these immigrants. They're just as racist as their husband. They're just as gross as him. But the husband just goes, nah, fuck that. He's going to be the man. He's the only one telling the truth. And da-da-da. And they're the people who try to vote twice, right? Yeah. The thing about the perception of most of them being like, hey, man, hey, by the way, Major, I just wanted to come in there and say hi. I know you well, man. We used to hang out there at the bait shop, and he'd go, I'll give you a quarter if you eat that piece of bait. And I'm like, it's already going down. Look. And like,
hey, everybody, that's what it looks like when your teeth social distance.
That's right. Yeah. Neither of my teeth got COVID. Fuck you. That's the truth. I got to tell you what, it works. And I masked both of them as well. You don't think they're naturally this white, do you? They got kind of a greenish hue that I like very much, you know. But they're, you know, that's our, you know, this kind of like this veneer. You know, I came out of an area where there seemed to be a set of parents that I grew up around, and I'm sure you kind of know this. This is our home, we're never leaving parents, and the we got to get out of here, we're better than this parents. And there's usually, it's about a 80-20. 80% of them are like, this is our home, this is how we do. And the more of like dumbass you can be, it's like a point of pride. And it's the same issue that like some like inner city black communities have, where there's like this contempt for education and all that kind of stuff, which has been a running problem in some of those areas. It's the exact same shit. It's the same fucking language. It's the same fucking accent. It's the weirdest thing. But there's this like antipathy towards election or towards education in general, and most of them view government like revenuers during the fucking prohibition era or something. Like they've locked into this. And they're not going to change.
And that's the thing, is that it doesn't matter what you show them. I mean, their belief is as powerful. I mean, here you got Donald Trump. If you go back and you look at everything that Donald Trump says, look at the things that he does, there is nobody that is more different than religious. You know, I mean, Donald Trump, you know, if you don't realize, I mean, New Testament, Old Testament, I like them both evenly, I would say.
Right.
You know, I mean,
it's my favorite book that I've never read.
I tell people this all the time. I said, do you want to know how come there's a New Testament? Because the Old Testament was too fucking hard to follow. It was too harsh. Hell, if you did any damn thing, you were supposed to be stoned to death. You know, you wore a two colored pair of pants from different cloth. Oh, you're automatically being stoned to death. You know, I mean, thou shalt not commit adultery, so that you won't sneak over on my side of the mountain and steal our wives tonight.
Yes.
I mean, the Bible is a book of control. But I mean, you know, there's a lot of these people here that absolutely, they look at Donald Trump and think that he is as godly as you can be. And that's because they're not smart people, and they're easily duped, and they will fall for anything. As long as Donald Trump shows them that he hates the same color people that they hate, you know, kind of like Lyndon B. Johnson. You show the lowest white man that he's better than the highest black man, and he'll let you pick his pocket. You know, that's the kind of shit that's going on. And I mean, we literally have people that are going to the polls that are so damn stupid. They would literally vote practically to nuke ourselves. And that's why it's important that everybody pays attention, starts making phone calls, understand the people in your family, know where they're leaning, make sure that when it's election day, they have a ride to the polls. Make sure that you are talking about politics with your family. I don't give a shit I don't like talking politics. I don't give a fuck, because right now, not talking politics is why we are where we are. We got a lot of people out here ain't never gave a shit about politics ever, but then they see this orange asshole who wants to call people that they hate murderers and rapists, and now all of a sudden we all gotta go vote. We gotta go vote for our good old Donald Trump. Sad.
Well, and also I would like to say to the other side. We've talked much about a lot today about the other side of the aisle and their voters and the like. But ultimately, there are two aspects that I think you and I both agree on. One is Democrats outnumber Republicans, period. 1-to-1, human to human, beyond even per capita. As individuals, there are more registered Democrats than there are registered Republicans. The Republican number is going down. A lot of Republicans are calling themselves independents now, just to give themselves an out, or they were so fucking embarrassed by their 2 Bush votes that during Obama, they became an independent who voted for Obama, and then they went back to Trump because they were like, fuck the government, and then they went, oh shit, we actually do need competent leadership, and they voted for Biden again, that kind of thing. But on our side, what we really have to deal with is a steadying of our understanding of the value of what happened. Because I got to say, the loss of Roe v. Wade and how everybody's riled up about it, I'm glad. I'm so fucking glad it's going to drive voting this fall. But I got to tell you, that fucking fight, the initial battle in it, the biggest battle in it, was lost in 2016 when a bunch of folks on our side of the aisle hung out, dropped back, bitched about Hillary, believed whatever Cenk's fucking story about her was, and just stayed home. 75,000 votes in 3 states gave Donald Trump the fucking presidency, and Donald Trump's presidency gave us the Supreme Court that got rid of Roe v. Wade. End of fucking discussion. And everybody who, when it went away, was like, oh my fucking God, we have to do something. I got news for it. These fights are, that are felt now are fought years before. And if you saw what he did when he was in there last time, just imagine what this motherfucker will try to do if he gets back in, that will set up a cascade of denial of rights and horror for women, minorities, working class people, even upper middle class people, because this motherfucker wants to shake the crab bucket. He wants to make sure nobody's nipping at his heels.
And we need to have victories like they had in Alabama with 30 points. Donald Trump is absolutely taking credit for taking away a capability from women. And now he's saying that there needs to be punishment. So that's right, ladies, you know what to do. Oh, by the way, 51% of the population in the country of the United States is female. So there's more females than there are men. So stop letting these men dictate what the hell you can and can't do. If you allow that to happen, then you're the problem. And that's a fact.
That's right.
Hal,
thank you so much. That's right.
A pleasure, man. Always enjoy it, brother.
Me too. Appreciate it. Take care of yourself, and we will see you again next time. Turnleftpack.org. Check it out today, and we'll talk to you again soon. Thank you, brother.
Everyone. All right, bye.
Yeah. Joining us next will be the lovely Tara Dublin, who indeed does rock. I don't see your camera. I hear you, I think, in the background, Tara.
I don't know why. I can see you and hear you, and I don't know why you can't see me. I can hang up and call back and see if that works.
Well, it might be a weird thing. Hold on one second. Let me try this. I'm going to go to, let's see, guest number 2, which will be the lovely and the talented and the Tara. And I will bring you in. I'll
just a black screen like my heart.
That's right. That's what it is. I'll pop you in here and let's see if it comes up, because it might just be a software thing, or it might be that your camera is just.
Normally, when I sign in, I can see myself, but I can't see myself. I can only see you, which is not a bad thing.
Hold on. Let me try and do something real quick. I'll try it. Let's see. Front camera. Let's see. Refresh that. There you are.
I am.
I hit refresh on your phone. I have control over your phone. I don't know if you know that.
I love it. I love it.
Ta-da! Ladies and gentlemen, Tara Dublin rocks joining us. And I want to thank the Major again for coming in today. Hold on, let me pop this in. I know I have I have your name on the thing and I can make it come up. So first, hi, how are you?
Hi, how was your Trans Day of Visibility yesterday?
Well, I, as a guy who gets misgendered on the regular, pretty rock solid, I guess. I mean, I don't know if that means it's working or not working. That's the other part.
I just know that I triggered a whole shit ton of people, which I'm delighted to do.
Sure.
Because it just escapes so many people that a day can have more than one occasion.
Right.
And the fact is, for those who don't know, Trans Day of Visibility was declared in 2009, and it has always been on March 31st. Easter, not always March 31st. It's on the final, what is it, the final Sunday of what? I don't know. It's based on the weird just like
That's
Passover,
March.
it changes every year.
Yeah, it's a lunar holiday,
year,
which is totally
correct.
Totally Abrahamic and not pagan at all.
Not at all pagan, and somehow we got from Jesus rising from the dead to a bunny bringing you chocolate eggs. Fine. But
I've explained it very many times, and I'm glad to do it again. I can explain all of that. But go ahead.
It's not like they're ever going to listen to the truth, but it does matter. Like the first thing was when the proclamation came out, as if Joe Biden created Trans Visibility Day and purposefully made it on Easter to piss everybody off. So first, you have to tell them Biden didn't create this day. He's only he and the previous president, not the previous one, but the one before that, would declare the proclamation because that's what you do as the president. And it's only every year. But you weren't so triggered last year, were you? Because it wasn't on your bogus pagan holiday. And the way that they all jumped on that narrative and immediately came from every weirdo, conservative, QAnon, Maga, fringe, from those sitting in Congress to those who just repeat anything they're told. And it was constant. It was constant the whole weekend. And it didn't matter how many facts were supplied and the fact that they had a report about it on MSNBC and over again. You just, if you have Twitter on your phone, you probably can access the Google, kids.
Yeah.
And you're welcome
to
ask the Google your own questions and find out your own answers instead of expecting us to spoon feed it to you. Because if we don't provide you with facts, you think we're lying to you, and then we provide you with a link, and then you call it fake news. So fuck all of you for that. But the thing is, they will find any manufactured outrage to try to distract from the fact that Donald Trump is a fucking criminal. So, and nothing you say or do, you can threaten a judge and his daughter. It's not going to delay his hush money trial.
Right.
It's not going to delay it. He can't delay this trial, and that's why we're seeing what we're seeing right now. Everybody is super freaking out. Because he's delayed every other trial. No, not this one. And they can't spin it. They can't spin this at all. And so attacking transgender people, they're a very convenient scapegoat. And anyone who supports transgender Americans, they will just assume that we're also trans. So and they use that as an insult, just like they like to call me a lesbian. If only, my friends, if only I was born that way. Sadly, I was not. And
being in Portland, it would open up your dating pool significantly. I mean,
it would be my entire dating pool. The hottest lesbians live in Portland. It's just a fact. It is just
the gauntlet has been thrown down, ladies and gentlemen. Come
visit and you'll see for yourself. I had to actually get myself a T-shirt because one of my best friends who passed away a couple of years ago from pancreatic cancer, she was the biggest lesbian in Portland and everybody loved her, Betty. And we would joke around and she would say, "Oh, Dublin, just try it." And then I would say, "Oh, Betty, just sit on a dick. Just try that." And she'd say, "Well, is it attached to a man?" And then, ha, 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 ha. And so we would joke around and say, I should just get myself a T-shirt that says, "Sorry, I'm not a lesbian. I just have short hair." And then on the back, it would say, "Yeah, I'm disappointed too." So I finally got that shirt, but I can't just walk around Portland wearing that shirt because it'll make me feel like people like, "What do you think? You're like lesbian thirst trap?"
Sure.
And maybe I am, but only if I have a lesbian walking with me, because then it really confuses people. So I did that one time. I went out with a friend of mine, and we went out to dinner, and she's very butch and beautiful and is married, and like we just went out to celebrate Betty because Betty had passed away. And people were like, "Are they or are they not?" It was It was fun. It's fun. It's fun to fuck with people's perceptions of who you are when they don't know you.
Oh, I know it well.
Anything that they can do, right? Anything, and then the other thing that they do, and anybody who's in the chat from the other side, you can try to use the things that we love against us to hurt us. That doesn't work. You can make fun of my book. You can make fun of my cats. You can make fun of my hair. You can say I'm a bad mom. Say all the things. None of it's true. None of it's true. And so, especially on April Fool's Day, where I'm really avoiding interacting with anybody on social media, I just want everyone to be mindful of the fact that the efforts from Maga are going to get amped up exponentially over the next couple of weeks, because fittingly, tax day is the day the hush money trial starts.
Yeah.
So
Which, one of the reasons he hid it was to avoid, paying tax on it, like using it as a business write-off at the same time he's giving himself a campaign thing. By the way, I'd like to add this little thing. Lately I've been throwing this in to the broadcast. That's me, by the way. That's from Queer as Folk.
Is that from Queer as Folk?
Yeah. I know. And if it makes you feel a little funky, people, it's okay. It's all right. Just let the feelings be there. Yeah. So
express it all.
Yeah. And my favorite thing, I think, around the kind of the maggot crowd is that, especially this close to Easter, that oftentimes I will get occasionally, and I don't know, I'm sorry, maggots, if I haven't addressed you today in our chat. I'm sure you're there, or maybe you're lurking. Pop in if you need to.
Shalom.
Yeah, right. Hi. That a lot of them will, because I have long hair, will do the whole like what are you, trans thing or something, and I'm like, okay. I almost feel like I should wear a Jesus shirt, just like one of the big kind of highly Catholic, emblem shirt with him on, just long hair, or the one with his hands out like column A, column B, column A, column B, whatever that one is. Just so you see him with his flowing locks, and have them go, what do you? Oh, well, yeah, I guess good point. Yeah, but so you both had long hair. Okay, sure, all right.
Make all the assumptions instead of trying to get to know us as people. That's fine. That's fine.
Yeah, I don't feel like investing in them either, so I don't feel bad about that part of it. But I do.
I would love to believe that we're going to reach a point where they're just like, I can't do this anymore. He's just run out the clock. We can't make excuses for him anymore. There he is, sitting in a criminal trial that if he loses, which there is every indication he will lose the porn star hush money trial, because Michael Cohen is going to testify and Stormy Daniels is going to testify, and they have this weird thing called the truth to testify about. And what does Donald Trump have? Nothing. So when he loses a criminal case that he can't afford to appeal, what are you all going to do? It's not a witch hunt. They're not just going after him because they don't like him. Democrats did not create this. And remember, nobody made Donald Trump do any of the things that he's accused of. And nobody has said he didn't do these things. What they're saying is, if he did them, it's fine because it's him. Right.
Well, that's the thing. He gets
enabled.
He gets a pass.
All of that.
Again, this is like he gets a pass because of this idea that, what I would call the pit bull idea, is that as long as he attacks the right people, I don't care if he shakes our baby. I don't care if he, the chances of it is very slim. So if he bites one of the kids, that we'll just put up with that potentiality, because I'm so scared of my neighbors and I'm so scared of everything else past the edge of my yard that I just want this monster in my thing. And now, to everybody, we love pit bulls. My friend Richard Hunter got one of Michael Vick's dogs and rescued it. And lovely animal. Great. So I'm making that reference on how they specifically. I want how those people view him as an attack dog, as as their in deference to his reading choices, as their Doberman Pinscher, as it were. And or their German Shepherd.
My question always for the people who are still with him, he's hawking shitty $60 Bibles they're autographed. Right. Who autographs a Bible that he's never read in his life? That's the key. Ever one time. He doesn't have many, unless people sent them to him, like, please read this and find out what it actually says. I want to believe that there will be a point where they're like, I just cannot do this anymore, and I've got to walk away. I want
a bunch of them are. That. They are. There are a bunch of them definitely are.
More.
Right.
Because you cannot deny his court calendar. You can't deny the fact that he was arrested 4 times last year. There are things that he has done that he did that no one made him do. No one made him pick up the phone and call Brad Raffensperger. No one made him steal documents from the White House.
That's the key one. That's the one that's losing him the most support, just for the record.
So.
Yeah.
There's every indication that he didn't just steal them, that he sold classified American government secrets to his buddies.
Right.
MBS.
Mm-hmm.
We hopefully will find that out. And
right.
It's we don't lie to you. Trump lies to you. Why would we lie?
I'm going to switch your microphone real quick to see if you drop in and out on this one real quick, because you fade in and out. You're fine. Leave your headphones in. You're fine.
Is it these things?
No, I
come out and just yell.
Nope, you're fine. I'm just raising the. Yeah, I just want to bring the audio up a little bit. I think it's better. I think so. You have a little bit. There's a ducking. There's a sibilance. There's a smart number one. This is smart number one. This is a lot of fun.
These go to 11.
These turn. No.
Good. Do you want me to switch out? Because I can't.
No, you're good. Nope. It's just there's a ducking thing that happens, and I'm not sure what causes it. So I've been dicking around with it. People have asked about it before in your audio, but at some point I'm just going to send you a care package of just how a broadcast stuff, like a mic, a camera, and a thing, and just and we'll.
I mean, these are your traditional AirPods. If
they're
not
great.
Good, I can take them out. And
nope, they're great. So that's how you listen, not how you talk. So. Yeah, it's other stuff.
Back to the subject at hand.
Yes.
They were also extra triggered this weekend because Joe Biden raised $25 million in one night.
Yes, he did. Yeah.
Your boy is selling his gold sneakers and his Trump bucks and his shitty Bible.
Right.
God bless the USA and the Constitution inside of it. And it's embarrassing. I think they're embarrassed by his buffoonery and how low rent he is. And that doesn't have there's nothing cool. There's nothing cool about Donald Trump. There's nothing cool about the people who hang out around Donald Trump. They don't have anything to compare it to. So what they do is try to either distract from it or make fun of it. Because I know that bullies get jealous and say stupid shit.
Right.
They're jealous. It's all jealousy. I mean, Donald Trump is so jealous of Joe Biden that he shared that video of the pickup truck with the big that big sticker on the back that looks like somebody assassinated Joe Biden. That's great. That's great. Why wasn't he picked up for that? Or the person who originally shared that video, why weren't they picked up for that?
Oh, they have it actually on their truck. They drive around in a truck with that on the back of it.
Joe Biden, and it looks like he's been, assassinated and he's laying there dead and tied up. Super. Yep. That's super great. That's awesome. Great for you. How proud you all must be of that one. Seriously. I'm so, and I know it's April Fool's and people are going to say a lot of shit, but the bottom line, I'm not joking. The bottom line is you guys have to seriously come to Jesus. As a Jewish woman, I'm saying this. Your sky daddy's not coming to save you, and neither is Donald Trump. And I would love to know, and one of the things that, and I may have said this on your show before, because somebody said this to me yesterday, because I brought up the hush money trial, and they were like, well, Stormy Daniels' lawyer is in prison. Yeah, a couple of years ago, you think she's got new legal representation now?
Right.
And by the way,
he cheated her.
Over Michael Avenatti.
Yeah.
A while ago. Because you know why? We found out he was a cheating, lying, conniving shitbag of a criminal.
Right.
I said that out loud. I have not been smited.
Yeah.
Into a pile of dust. We were also very wrong about John Edwards. Oh, well.
Right.
Get over it.
Yeah.
Over it. Find yourself a real fucking candidate. I'll still say it. Chris Christie dropped out way too soon. Way too soon.
Now,
he was the only one close to normal.
Well, that's the thing, is that he's got no shot. Even close to normal is not going to work. Let me show you.
Have a shot.
How
do you get the train back on track? How do you get the Republican Party back on something that resembles forward motion? How do you do that?
I don't know, because let me show you right here.
I love this Photoshop that you were doing last night.
Yeah,
that was a riot, and everyone's like, "Is that real?"
I know. Trump put out these ridiculous little he put out his Bible hawking picture, and I was like, sometimes this asshole just makes it too easy. So I added this one. I also this one was
perfect.
That was a little on the nose, a little mind comp action. Let me shrink this down so you guys can
kept it on
see.
his bedside table.
Well, technically, allegedly, it was a book of Hitler's speeches that was his favorite book, right? So, yeah, which is again, shit. The funny part is he can't even read the awful. He never read it. He thumbed through it or was trying to either scare someone.
A Bible verse.
Like, it was just basically to abuse Ivana, essentially, is probably why he had it there. Because Hitler killed a lot of people in her country. So this is the other one. I like this one a lot. I thought this was a pretty good one. I was trying to... Yeah. I was going to put an autograph of his, over top of it. Just kind of like do a Jeffrey Epstein autograph. But I didn't... Or
the Trump EKG
stamp that's... Yeah. This one was... This one I also... This was a real cover from Us Weekly. Melania's struggle, a life she never wanted, and I was like, this is so fucking on the nose, but it's like, yeah. And then in that line, I don't know if you know this, and I had to just this is what happens when you end up dicking around, trying to fuck around with this asshole occasionally. I had no idea that Ivana Trump had a bunch of books out, and especially one that was right about after her divorce, right? It was about how to move on. It was like women sent her letters about how to move on after your divorce from a high-profile man, and she reacts to them and wrote a book about it, right? And the book is titled, "The Best Is Yet to Come." Now, okay, have you seen the show For All Mankind by any chance? It's on Apple.
No, I haven't. It is on my list though.
Summer is such a NASA head, just as I am. She fell in love with the show, and we've watched it. She watched it again, and I watched it with her, and it's terrific. It's got some great stuff. But it's like if the Soviets beat us to the whatever. There's all kinds of shit about it that I have an issue with. But there's a ton of real science, and they also like Ted Kennedy is president at one point because he had to cancel something. He was going to go to Chappaquiddick, but he canceled it to go to this other thing because of what was happening with NASA and all this stuff. So he ended up not having that, and it didn't keep him from being president and all that shit. It's pretty fascinating, right? There's a lot of those things. Gore is president because Bush 2 never runs. Bush 1 is vice president to a woman, the first female president who ends up being a Republican. It's pretty cool. He never
wanted to be president. He wanted to be commissioner of baseball.
That's right. Whatever. Well, this is HW. So, too. But anyways.
GW.
Yeah.
Wanted to be commissioner of baseball, and I know that for a fact.
Yeah. There are a lot of moments where they're like, this historical moment is happening at the same time this historical moment is. So there's a bombing at NASA that they use the date of the Oklahoma City bombing for it there. They moved, like, reality moved around. These kind of people end up attacking NASA. It's, instead of the Oklahoma building. And it's very similar, how it went off and all that kind of shit. And there are overlapping moments. And all I could think about while I was watching that was as Ivana Trump is falling down the fucking stairs, Kimberly Guilfoyle is going, "The best is yet." Just like at the exact same moment. Like in the series they make of all this crazy bullshit, the timing is so goddamn weird that they borrow this phrase from her first book that she wrote, which was like a fuck you to Donald Trump, I'm moving on, after she left, and it's called The Best Is Yet to Come, and that becomes Kimberly Guilfoyle, Don Jr.'s fucking fiance, girl, whatever the fuck they are to each other now. That becomes her catchphrase, and then this motherfucker buries Don Jr.'s mom on a golf course without even a fucking headstone, and then just lets the grass grow over it and like fuck her, right? And not
even in there.
And his fucking creep ass girlfriend is using a catchphrase that is the title of his mother's first book after leaving his dad.
All of it is just, it's so creepy and wrong.
Good Lord.
And none of
I had no idea that book existed till yesterday. Yeah.
Remember her pallbearers who were all like these, that's perfect. All of her pallbearers were like these big, burly Russian bodyguard types. Yeah. None of her children were helping carry, like her sons were not helping carry her coffin. And all of these big, burly guys were like, oh, she was like a bird.
She was teeny.
Like this tiny bird-like teeny woman, which is why she was broken in 1,000 pieces when she was pushed down. Fell down the stairs. And then What's in that box that they're all like, oh, I can't. So I would say that the New Jersey State Medical Examiner needs to exhume Ivana, because I will bet there are some stolen documents in big, heavy boxes in that coffin underneath the ground where he goes and plays golf 5 feet from it or whatever it is. I wish that they would exhume her. Like if they seize Bedminster, you can go digging, find out what's under the ground there.
Right.
So, it's just I'm just really curious. Like why did the timing of it, like she died and then those things and then they buried her and then he immediately started playing golf with MBS. He was like, okay, that's done. I'm gonna go cheat at more golf now.
Right.
So abnormal. And the fact that people are still like, nope, that's my guy. How?
Right.
This fucking freak show. Eric Trump is still going on TV saying, my dad built the skyline of New York City. No, he fucking did not. He has no impact on the skyline of New York City. You fly into New York City, you don't see a Trump building standing the tallest ever.
Right. Well, even by height, it's not even the one that people are like, that defines, like fucking the Empire State Building or the Chrysler Building or like
Chrysler Building or the new World Trade Center.
Right.
Which still looks weird to me. The skyline still looks weird to me because I grew up in the shadow of the city. And so like I always saw the Twin Towers my entire life. And even now, when I fly back, the last time I was in New York was almost a year ago at this point. But when I fly back, my memory wants it to look a certain way. None of it includes a Trump building. None of it. And no one who grew up in New York thinks that way. Nobody who grew up in the tri-state area thinks that way. We all know what he is. We have always known. He's a chauvinist playboy who cannot get out of his own way, and he fucks up everything he touches. And that's why Rick Wilson came up with everything Trump touches dies. Because it's true. It is true. A truly successful businessman wouldn't be sitting in a courtroom for the rest of his miserable life.
Well, here's the thing.
True.
His heroes are the Bernie Madoffs and the Roy Cohns of the world. Again, if you win in court because you deserve to, he thinks, who gives a shit? Of course you're supposed to win. You were right. But if you can game the system, if you can trick the system, then you're the shit. And it's almost such a pathological belief that he insists on engaging in this shit just so he can see if he can like fuck the system and go like, show those motherfuckers. And it's going to catch up with you.
I mean,
it's criming for criming's sake. So. Even the fucking mob doesn't do that. He's just dumb about it. And it's super weird. By the way, this one's probably, this one I enjoyed quite a bit. This is the junk food coloring book. Everyone poops
maybe
was
a
good.
Happy Meal menu. That one's
well,
laminated.
This one I thought might have been my cruelest one. It's an autographed picture from Kenny G. Oh, by the way, while he's performing at Trump Marina.
Oh, Kenny. Come on back to us, Kenny.
This was a while back. It's old. I mean, look at the picture of him. Like this is young Kenny G. Before were we ever young? I'm just like, what an ad.
And they never really answer your questions. But my question is always why. Why do you do this? Why do you support this? Do you really hate your country? I don't think you hate your country, right? Donald Trump doesn't care. He doesn't care about you. Doesn't care about your well-being. He only cares about himself. And, the major was saying earlier, the meme of him saying, I love the poorly educated. It's because you're so easy to grift. You keep buying his bullshit. His Trump steaks and his Trump water and his Trump this and his Trump that.
But they don't. Bible. That's the other thing, too, is they don't. They like that. All that shit fails. And again, it starts off well, much like.
They don't blow them off. Well, I just want to know when they reach their breaking point, when they're like, nope, I'm done. When? Because he gives you so many opportunities.
Okay, because I don't
leave.
I think a lot of the ones you're talking about, they're not leaving for reasons that have almost nothing to do with him. At this point, their ego is so involved. Like they're so in.
Right.
It's like somebody who's been conned that it finds themselves in a multi-level marketing scheme and they're so fucking embarrassed this is bullshit. But their only way out is to sell it to somebody else and then back away slowly, right? Sell their stake in it to some other sucker and disappear. On an emotional level, that's exactly what they're doing. These motherfuckers are so embarrassed, but at a certain point, that they can't admit that they're wrong. And that's where like a fake narcissist has fake narcissist fans, where they just, they don't really have. I have unending amounts of self-esteem. I got news for you. It's one of the reasons I get pissed when people call him a narcissist. I'm like, as a narcissist, I'm offended. This man knows nothing about what it's like. And I think he's the exact opposite. I think he's repulsed by his own reflection. I think he's repulsed by his own breath and the sound of his own voice. Absolutely.
That he's in.
And he has, and that's why he hates women, because the only women that are ever around him fuck him because they want something from him. And so he thinks all women are basically high-end prostitutes. Right?
Gee, I wonder where he got all of those ideas from.
Well, that's what low self-esteem does to you. That's what, you know.
Look at the women at Mar-a-Lago. Like, there was a picture from yesterday, their big Easter celebration at Mar-a-Lago. Right. The painted whores. I mean, they're all wearing the smallest, tightest, ugliest, cheapest looking. Like, they all went to a Ross sidewalk sale and went, this is 3 sizes too small. I'm getting this.
Right.
So, it's like rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic. It's we're going to go down with this ship and we're going to make sure we look as hoary as possible.
Well, it's certainly for all this all this talk about like Baphomet and Eyes Wide Shut parties and shit like that. Like, that's like Mar-a-Lago looks like a low-rent, non-masked version of that shit most of the time. You know what I mean? Like people are too stupid and left their masks at home. Or they think they don't need them, which I got news for you. A lot of you do. I'm just going to say, a lot of them need the masks.
All the women look the same. They all have giant fake boobs that are spilling out of these cheap-ass looking dresses. And there he is at this
skeeving on them. Yeah.
Oh my God, it's so gross. And that every picture, every video from Mar-a-Lago is so easy to mock because you can almost smell the desperate flop sweat emanating from all of them. It's almost like they're all aware that they're going nowhere except down. So they might as well just like set everything on fire and pretend that everything is fine, even though they know the ship is sinking. And it just doesn't make any sense to me. But then again, I'm not in a delusional cult where I accept lies from the leader. And when we try to inflict any truth, like, but Joe Biden showered with his granddaughter.
No, he didn't.
No, he didn't. And somebody, boy, I'm telling you, they're really pulling out all of the old lies, like the ones that have been debunked over and over and over again, all of your favorite ones, all the things like, oh God, it like fell out of my head what I was going to say, but just like, somebody actually brought up yesterday because they tried to say, trying to push move the goalposts and the whataboutism and all of that, bringing up Bill Clinton with Jeffrey Epstein. Bill Clinton lied about how many times he flew with Jeffrey Epstein. No, that was Trump who lied about how many times he flew with Jeffrey Epstein. And then they were like, Donald Trump kicked Jeffrey Epstein out of Mar-a-Lago. And I learned from you, Hal Sparks, the truth of why. And it was a real estate deal gone bad. It was not Donald Trump protecting the honor of a daughter of a member. And I was like, and I said to this person, everything that you believe about Donald Trump is wrong. It's wrong. And it's so easy to find out the truth. And they just don't want to. They want to believe. They need to believe all of the lies because it's the disappointment. Disappointment is one of the hardest human emotions to get over. And I get that. I totally get that. I've been disappointed by a lot of people in my life. What do you do about it? You have to move on. You have to move on from it because there will be a time. He's not going to be here tweeting his bullshit at you. And if you watch, I really encourage everybody to watch yesterday's episode of Last Week Tonight with John Oliver because they broke down this whole pump and dump thing that's happening with Truth Social.
Right.
Whoo! Big. And did you know, and I didn't know this until I watched the show last night, the amount of people who use Truth Social on the regular is less than 500,000.
Yeah.
It has less than 500,000 regular users.
Yeah.
Something like 484,000 daily users, which is nothing. That's nothing. There are people who have more Twitter followers than that. I'm not me, But there are people, and if you compare, how many million, 85 million people using Twitter or 128 million people using Facebook, Trump is such a loser. He can't, there's literally nothing he does right. Nothing except losing. He does that super well.
Right.
So, again, I'm like fascinated by people who stick with a losing prospect. I'm fascinated by it because here on Earth One, when we're presented with reality, we're like, oh, okay. But MAGA people will continue to twist themselves into conspiracy pretzels to believe any lie about Joe Biden, but will not believe any truth about Donald Trump. And for me, it's all about the why. So like the people who come to your chat, why? Why at this point, this late in the game with the court calendar like his, because the Stormy Daniels one, or he has so much more after that. He loses a criminal he loses this case, a criminal conviction on his record. You know what that does? It should take him off the campaign trail.
Yeah.
Foremost, shouldn't it? So, hey, thumbs up. Someone gave me a thumbs up. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
So I guess, that's happening. That's real. You can't stop it. And there's nothing you can do about it. Change the fact that he's going to sit in the courtroom and lose.
Mm-hmm.
What are you going to do? What are you going to do when you lose? And I asked people that, and instead they're like, Hunter Biden. It's ridiculous. Like,
yeah,
I want to, and I understand it's April Fool's Day. This is also the beginning of my birthday month. April is the cruelest month because April is the birthday month. My birthday's on the 26th. I'll be 55. What I want is for people to just come back to themselves and also buy my book in droves. Buy this in droves. I'm 5 away from selling 600, by the way. TaraDublinRocks.com. I mean, somebody made fun of me yesterday. They're like, your whole account is about promoting your book and you haven't even sold 600 copies. I'm like, yeah, and?
Right. When you're selling it by yourself, that's right.
Like,
that's the other, yeah. These are folks who
author. Yeah, I am. Fuck you.
Right.
What?
You know what's different between you and Donald Trump, besides you not being disgusting, is that you and uneducated, is that you wrote your book.
All by myself.
Yeah.
Guess who is the next contestant in the Republican publishing racket, which I coined that phrase a while ago, the Republican publishing racket, as soon as I found out that big publishers like Simon & Schuster and HarperCollins are signing these people to book contracts that are incredibly lucrative. They don't write themselves. They're all ghost-written propaganda crap books that are churned out. I always imagine like Marjorie Taylor Greene's ghostwriter is in a fetal position in a padded room somewhere. And then nobody reads these books. Nobody buys them except the RNC. And then they get falsely inflated to the New York Times bestseller list. And then they end up in RNC gift bags. And then they end up collecting dust on the shelf next to the unread John Grisham. Are you changing my audio mic source?
Yep. There you go.
I'm going to take these off.
No, leave them in. If you put them back in. If you take them out, it resets it back to your headphones.
Okay. Shit. Well, here I am.
It's okay.
Can you hear me?
It's okay. Yes, it should be on there. It should be all right. Yeah.
All right. So the latest member shitbag Republican publishing racket is James Comer. Comer Pyle is current. Jesus.
Now switch it again. Now don't take your headphones out.
Okay. I'm not touching anything. Okay. So Comer Pyle is going to get paid tons of money. He won't write, but he'll get all of the benefits of being a published author, except actually sitting down and writing it himself. And it's disgusting. I wrote this all by myself. I wrote 15 drafts before I self-published it. I have gotten over 55 agent rejections. I will never give up. All of my reviews, the real ones, not you fake MAGA bullshit ones, 5-star reviews that begging me for a sequel and a streaming series. I'm an untapped writing goldmine. You can make a lot of money from me if you're a real publisher who's actually really invested in people really reading the books that you print. So please, TaraDublinRocks.com, please share this with everyone you know. Henry Winkler has a copy, although he hasn't really done anything with it yet. And my newest friend on Twitter,
Yeah.
You can also order this from your local indie bookstores now, and you can request it from your libraries to put on.
Yeah.
And this book is going to be in Powell's bookstore in 2 weeks.
Nice.
The best bookstore in the whole world. So
it's pretty great.
I would ask,
for those of you who don't know, Portland, one of the sites that I always visit when I'm in Portland is Powell's Book. So that's cool.
You have to. It's the greatest bookstore in the entire world.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
We really should be supporting actually talented, struggling writers. Stephen King, who follows me, could do me such a solid. But my newest friend on Twitter is Robert McNaughton, who you might remember as the oldest brother from E.T. And he ordered my book, which means this book is going to be one degree from Steven Spielberg.
There you go.
Come on, kids. Let's make shit happen. You know?
Trying to find a video that I took the other day. Oh, it was on my. I don't have it in here because it was on my weird spy glasses that I wear, my meta glasses, because I drove all the way to LA. By the way, after I drive back and there's a huge accident. Thank God I was nowhere near it, but like I can't tell you how terrifying and sad it was for the people who were involved. On the way there, though, I drove all the way to LA with a screw in my tire. Apparently, I realized just as I left town that my gauge went off and the tire pressure was low. Pull over, look at it. Add a little air. Drive to the next gas station, which is about half hour, and pull over to check it again. Light's still on. It's going to stay on till I do something, but pull over back to where it was. Oh dear. So I buy some Fix-A-Flat, throw that in there, and then let it sit for a second, do one rotation, and then drive off down the road. Another 45 minutes down the road, check it. Seems to be okay. Kept doing it. Now, get there, and I go to the dealership the next day because I had like meetings and stuff in the morning. I did my show, and then I had to take my car to the dealership. I roll in, and I'm like, am I going to be able to show these folks where the leak seems to be? So I pull over, and I go into the thing, and I go, it's this tire. And I walk the lead around, and I can't, and then I look right at the tire, and there's just like a turkey timer. Like, it's just sticking out of the fucking tire, like so obvious. Like, hey, dumbass, I think it might be a screw. I'm like, it wasn't there. I didn't see it. I couldn't see it before. It's starting to be pushed out by the air. God damn it. Anyways, so I get that fixed or whatever, and blah blah blah. But I went while I left it there. I had about 2 hours, and I'm like, I'm not gonna Uber someplace and back or whatever. So I went to the public library. And I read the first 3 chapters of a book on Buster Keaton that they had there, and sat by myself like a weirdo and read in the library, which felt so lovely. And I do that on the regular in towns that I'm in when I do stand-up and the like. When I'm in town, I will often, if there's a library within walking distance of the hotel, I'll just ramble over there, go to a section, pick something, pop it open, and just just read a few chapters of whatever, because I'm not going to check it out. I don't have a card for that area, right? And this one was like, it was like a mile away, or the half a mile away. And so I walked over there, sat in there, and it was fantastic. It was a lovely little, like, I never knew that about Buster Keaton, and how he broke down stories, and how even when he was old, people were telling him to like knock it off because you're going to get killed. And he's like, but it's funnier this way. And I was like, I love you. But so I took video of me going in, because I can use my glasses. You just tap them and it starts recording or whatever. And so I recorded myself. Wow. I'll post it later on. But it's something you can do, kids. It's something you can do.
Do it.
Just saying. Yeah.
The library welcomes everyone.
It does. I think you should go donate a physical copy of your book to the library. I'm just saying, because it's a great way to build fans.
Ordered copies. My book is going to be in 3 different branches of the Multnomah County Library. Very soon.
Aw, that's awesome.
It's on order. I know, and people can, if you're in Portland, you can put a hold on it right now through the Multnomah County Library system. And I've been checking, but in 2 weeks, this is going to be in the small press, on the small press shelf in Powell's bookstore, and I'm going to go visit it and cry, because the dream to see your book on the shelf at Powell's, the world's greatest independent bookstore, it just means so much, and it's a real achievement, and it means so much to me. And and just yesterday, this is a very Portland thing that we did yesterday. My friends have created a you might call it a salon. We called it a gathering where we all did readings or played a song or shared a story or shared some art. just a place to get together and a little performance, open mic kind of thing.
Yeah, what they lovingly refer to in the Lego movie as hippy dippy baloney. But I understand what you're
right.
Yes.
We did some hippy dippy Portland baloney yesterday.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
beautiful, and I read,
Yeah.
I read from this, and I'm gonna hopefully try to get a reading from Powell's. But when you work as hard as we people do to write an actual book, and then you find out that Republicans are getting a book deal just because they're Republicans, it's infuriating. It's infuriating to me because no one reads that, and almost 600 people have read this. And so I want to believe that good people will always rise to the top, and people will find us, and people will boost us, and people will do good things. And again, my 55th birthday is later this month, and all I'm going to ask is for people to do something good. On the day, I'm going to see how many books I can sell. I would like to sell 700 books by the end of April because it's my birthday month. But I mean,
by the way, what she's referring to, in case you're just joining us or you didn't see this earlier, whoops, sorry, wrong page. You're all over the.
Look at that.
There you go. Yeah,
fucking asshole.
Comer discusses book deal, and this is the other thing too. It's like Axios. Nobody discusses a fucking book deal when they've already got the sales links and the metadata up. Like it's a deal. You've signed the deal. They don't give you a mock-up with an actual like UPC symbol and all that shit and the book word for it, like the book code for it. That's just horse shit. This is just a lie. It's just garbage. There's no fucking way. Anyways, the book is called, which is so like, this is how fucking stupid these guys are. All the President's Money. And here's the thing. Joe Biden is left the Senate as the poorest senator and still doesn't have anywhere near the money, even as president of the United States, that more than half of the fucking Senate has. Let me be abundantly clear. More than half of the Senate have triple, quadruple, 10 times what Joe Biden has as a net worth. It's
because he doesn't care about that.
No. And
he needs enough. And that's the other thing about Democrats is that we're not greedy, we're needy. And so we'll get what we need, and then we won't ask for too much more than that because we're just here to survive, right? And we're here to make other people's lives better, and we're here to coexist. And I've also always said, millions of dollars would be delightful. And if I ever get back in touch with Dave Grohl, who owes me, I think, hella money because I inspired him to write times like these, it's still about having... I'm not kidding.
Impact.
I don't know if I've ever told you that story.
No, we've talked about it. I believe you.
So, but it's always, I've only just needed enough. Do I have enough to pay my rent? Do I have enough to feed myself and the cats? Do I have enough to survive? Honestly, I have never asked for more than I need to survive, even though I'm probably entitled to way more. I need to survive, but that's not what it's about for me.
I agree. I understand that. I think there is an intrinsic problem with that on our side of the aisle because of this kind of assumptive nature that anything beyond your absolute base needs is excess, therefore greed, and it ain't. And you can never. Hold on. I will always equate it to physics and calories or effort. That if you only have enough energy to stand up, you cannot help someone else stand up. You understand what I'm saying? Your goal should be to have enough leftover energy that if something happens to somebody else, you can contribute in that situation. I don't want to be the person who, in a plane crash, barely has enough energy to get my ass up out of my chair and out of the plane. I would like to be the guy who can help carry people out who can't and go back in for somebody else. And that's all money is a replacement for effort. The amount of effort you put in and what you get back for it, or whatever value point people put on you, is fine. But that's what you should be okay with that in whatever terms it comes, because you were a good person. Then believe me, because none of the people who are seeking excess think like you do about the worth of other people. And I think that's part of the mistake. That's why we have ceded so much financial ground to those assholes, and why it's a rarity where we're. And by the way, when somebody, Bill Gates or somebody like that, tries to build an organization where they're spending their billions, or their ex-wife leaves and gets a bunch of money and goes, I don't need all this shit, and starts a giant foundation that ultimately saves tens of millions of lives, she wouldn't have been able to do that if she had married a guy who enough was not enough.
Right. I mean,
Right?
I think about that all the time. I think
Right.
about
It's okay. I'm just giving you
I get
permission
back in touch
to.
with Dave Grohl, and he's like, actually, yes, you did do that. Here's publishing rights, or here's this money. And then there is a point where you look at a total and you're like, I can't spend that in my entire lifetime. What am I going to do with it? I can't take it with me. Therefore, I should do good things with it. And I think about that
Sure.
all the time. If I had that money, if I had Bill Gates money, if I had a book deal like Comer is fucking getting, if I got to the point where I had more than I ever could need in my life, what would I do with it, and how I could help people, and what I could do with that money and be philanthropic, aside from never worrying about my rent or never worrying about me and mine, beyond taking care of me and mine. If I was able to take care of beyond me and mine, I live for that. I want to do that. I want to help other people because I feel like it's my responsibility as a human to be a good human and help other humans.
Right.
Unfortunately, not everybody thinks like that. And so, like HarperCollins has shit tons of money. They publish great people. They publish Dave Grohl's book. So they should publish mine and then put us on a book tour together. Anyway, when you do this, when you reward the worst people, you reward them financially, and you put them in the same, if James Comer can now say, I'm a published author, but so can Judy Blume and Stephen King and Margaret Atwood and Tara Dublin, and you get fucking MAGA assholes coming back with, well, anybody can call themselves an author, anybody can write a book, anybody can self-publish. Yeah, then you fucking do it. You write a 400-page book that gets 5-star reviews from people, or maybe read one, I don't know, or actually just be a good human being and support independent, struggling, self-published authors, because the RNC isn't going to buy 1,000 copies of my book and then hand it out. No one's doing that. I'm doing it. I'm the only one advocating for me, pretty much. So in this world where things are hard enough, I live for the day where I get to a place where I can help other people. You know, I have a lot of friends here in Portland who are famous published authors, and I've seen what they have done with their success. And some people do good things with it, and other people just try to get more money from people. It's weird. And all I think about is I don't really care about being famous, and I don't really care about being tremendously wealthy. I care about people getting to a good place.
I understand that.
Instead of shitty people getting
here's
ahead.
how I view that thing, and this is my intervention, not just for you, but for everybody listening or whatever. I think that if you feel the need to say something like that, that's a given in your character. It is not something you have to articulate
in the chat to understand where I'm coming from.
No, here's the thing. I think they do based on everything else you talk about. I think that should be obvious because you didn't ghostwrite it, you didn't do it with AI, you wrote the book yourself. That's the point.
Yep.
So once you do that, then call off the dogs, stop drilling. You've struck oil. The idea is that you can take credit for having done that, stand by it, and hope it goes gangbusters, because whatever you hope, I believe, and this is maybe just how I live and how I've always viewed the world, but whatever I hope for myself, I hope for everybody else. So I would never deny my hopes and dreams or tamp them down for fear of either other people's judgment or whether it would, or the sort of semi-religious aspect of, looking covetous or something like that, or right. I'm not going to live like that, because here's the thing. I celebrate everything that people put effort into that they give a shit about. I love that. Right?
Right. It matters.
And I will never I would never talk down somebody or go, I'm glad Terry, you wrote a book, but I hope you don't make enough money off of it that you get, like out of your mind or something. You just lose your soul because you wrote a book and it did well. Like, the idea that I would start that conversation with you is fucked up. That's ridiculous of me to say, right? No. So why would you have it with your own head inside yourself? I will never talk. Yet you just did, and you kind of do, I guarantee you do. You do. It's okay, because it's a habitual thing, and people do it all the time. That's why I always joke about in LA, modesty kills. And it's true, because the only people
I mean, I could
that are,
brag about this if I wanted to.
well, you
It's a
do. It's
fucking
okay.
great book. It is
I
a good
agree.
book. It's
The
I
point
mean,
of,
I'm not the only person who thinks it is, right? So I brag about my great reviews that are not from like my mom and my cousin.
I'm using your circumstance as a teachable moment for everybody who might be listening. So also, because it's crucial that the only people who humble themselves in these moments and worry about the humility of it are the very people that I don't worry about being egomaniacs or being lording over people or treating people like shit. I don't worry about that. Anybody, if it even occurred to you to talk that way, you're cool. And the people who do brag about it or whatever give the idea of self-promotion a bad name. And this is a lesson I'm trying to learn in promoting my own show. And you've seen me do it over time, where I'm trying to remind people to be Patreons and all that kind of stuff, because it's a whole new game in that regard. And I find it uncomfortable. Yet at the same time, it's not because I'm not proud of it or something like that. I just feel like it's weird to do commercials in the middle of what I'm talking about. It just seems like I should just be able to do the thing, right? But it's not because I'm ashamed of it or I don't want it to grow into something bigger. As a matter of fact, if I know for a fact that if my show grew to the level that I think it deserves at some point, that I'd have more money coming in than the Blaze or Alex Jones. That would mean that all the people that have to listen to those dickheads or constantly go, to them as a source or actually think they're a force to be reckoned with would point to me as well. That's the value of that. That's my striving is that point, is so that I can, by the measure they use, I can stand up and go, I'll put my thoughts up against theirs any fucking day of the week. But until I achieve that certain level, and it's reasonable because audiences are right, whether you like it or not. If you can just keep building an audience that respects what you say and cares about what you say or likes your art or whatever, which takes time, and you do that organically, those people stay with you. And instead of the people who phase in and phase out of the fucking Blaze or Alex Jones, they outgrow his bullshit at some point. So my goal is so that I have a measure next to me that I can stand toe to toe with these folks. What I do with it when I have it is wholly different than what they do with it. That's the important part, right? And so it's crucial to me that, this is a thing I always do, by the way. You're not alone in this, but you are special in that I will always interrupt people in the middle of them talking down what they want or can have or what's right to have or any of those things for themselves, because it's a permeate message and it only affects our side of the aisle. It only drags because the other side, they don't give a fuck. It's a mercenary
grandeur.
It's a mercenary world, and it's why they like Putin so much, because the man is a fucking Darwinist, and that's how they think. And I don't believe in Darwinism. I believe in the intrinsic spiritual worth of every human being, and it's our responsibility to live up to it. Right?
It's also, it's just, I feel like it's our responsibility
Other than that, I have no
also be
opinion.
allies to all the communities we weren't born into, and to support each other, because life is really hard, and it's hard enough. It's hard enough when things are going okay, but when things aren't going okay, that's when you find out who your real friends are.
Sure.
When I lost my job on the radio here, because I was on the radio here for 5 years, and I was like local celebrity hot shit or whatever.
Yeah.
As soon as I lost that job, I found out who my real friends were, and it wasn't the people who were always calling me to get them into shows, And it wasn't the people who stay with you are, you know who they are because they stay with you. And the people who drop you like a hot potato because you're not doing cool shit anymore, they were never your friends in the first place. And you learn hard lessons throughout your life, and you never stop learning them. I'm almost 55. I had a friend break up with me a while ago, and I don't know why, and I've asked her why, but she won't tell me. And sometimes no answer is your answer, and that's one of the other life lessons that you learn. But I will never give up on this book becoming the huge success it deserves to be because of the way people have been responding to it. I put it out in the world because, actually, I think my friend Beth is actually watching. I had a week last September where several of my friends handed me my own ass, lovingly, but firmly. And my friend Beth, who is also an author, she called me up and she was like, "We're all really fucking tired of your Facebook posts about the fucking Foo Fighters. Just put your fucking book out already. Just do it.
Yeah.
Just do it. Because we're tired of hearing you whine about it." And then I did. And then it started taking off. And then people started like giving me amazing reviews. And now more famous people are aware of it. And someday it's going to be a streaming series that you're all going to fucking fall in love with and is going to win awards and shit.
It's the Sparks
that
bump.
good.
I'm going to call it. It's the Sparks bump.
And then later this week, I'm going to get the Handsome Bob Seska bump because I'll be on with Handsome Bob on Wednesday.
All right.
And we got the Stephanie Miller bump, and the Sexy Liberal bump matters. But what matters the most is that good people find each other.
Right.
We do. Good people find each other. That's a thing. And yesterday when we were at our open mic gathering and we shared music and we shared things.
Somebody hold on. Yeah. Go ahead.
What?
Go ahead. No, so go ahead. Finish what your thought was. Yeah.
Right before I left, they asked me to sing. Weird. I don't often sing by myself. We usually sing as a group. Mm-hmm. But the whole sense of the day was belonging and where do you belong? And it took me a really long time to find this community, my Low Bar Corral community, and my friends in the community who are just everything to me. And so I sang Ben Folds' song, The Luckiest. Okay. And we all ended up crying because it's such a beautiful song. And if you don't know it, I really encourage you all to listen to it because it's about belonging and it's about love and it's finding your way in life and figuring out who you are. And then what you find is that wherever you are, the lyrics are, I know that I am the luckiest. And it doesn't, and you don't measure luck by the numbers in your bank account. That's not where it matters.
You shouldn't be lucky unless you're a gambler.
Right.
Right.
You can always equivocate being lucky or being successful or whatever. So when this blows up, as it will, because I believe in it so much, I will always feel so lucky and so humble because it came from here. I mean, Dave Grohl inspired it, but this is all me. I did this by myself and I'm so proud of it. And I love it so much and I care about it so much. And that's the thing with me when I care about something, maybe even to my own detriment, I won't be able to get out of my own way because I love it so much. And when I try to explain, like one of my signature songs is Don't Let Me Be Misunderstood because I am just a soul whose intentions are good. And sometimes sometimes you can't get out of your own way. And so I guess, I'm starting my birthday month and I always try to start my birthday month with as much optimism as possible. Even though my birthday month begins with April Fools, my birthday month and the weather's nice and, all of those things. And I'm trying to say yes to more things and be more positive. But I would love for this whole month to be about forward motion and lifting other people up and being good human beings and helping the people who ask for it. And don't be a dick about it. Guys, like there's so many things that you can do. Just be a good person and support other people.
I insist.
That's my goal. That's my goal if I share anything with you. And the last thing I think I heard you say to the majors when you come to Portland, we're going to go to karaoke. Are we gonna do that?
Yeah, of course.
We're going to do that?
Yeah,
Great.
And we're working on a Nerd Halen gig. Yeah, we're working on a Nerd Halen gig right now. They're trying to nail down the venue. So,
well, you know that I know the number one venue owner in Portland, so you should be asking me to help you with that.
I would love to. Yes,
I would love to help you book that, and we still got to get Bridgetown back, and we're going to do wonderful, amazing things. You and I
insist.
All of us.
Yep.
So it's April. April, come she will. That great song. TaraDublinRocks.com. One copy and give it as a gift.
Little April news, just so you know. Usually when I'm doing an acting scene that requires crying, most of the time, all I need is the script. If it's decent, even if it's poorly written, if I can find my way through it, I use what are essentially trigger words. I will load a word in it with feeling. I'll ruminate, meditate on that word and just think about it and try to think of moments and ideas and feelings and stuff I've gone through or whatever, or a moment of the blocking that will set me off, right? And then every time I reach that point, it will just do it. But your nervous system at a certain point just says, fuck that, I'm tired of being sad. And you have to come up with another one, right? And if the shooting day is really fucking long, like it was on Queer as Folk sometimes, we had 22-hour days by the end of the season a couple of times where I was literally so dizzy I couldn't barely stand. And I'm like, thank God I don't have very many lines in this one scene, because I was like, I might fall over if I have to breathe and speak at the same time. It was nuts. But there's a Prince song called "Sometimes It Snows in April," and that song, and I don't do it flippantly, and I won't sing it out loud on the regular or anything, because I keep it kind of in a little pocket, that if I ever need to cry on film, I can sing it to myself. And by the time I hit basically the fourth line of the first verse, I will start tearing up. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's
that's the Ben Folds for me.
Right. Yeah. And so I like that. Sometimes It Snows in April is one of those songs that are gonna always. Yeah.
I think we all have a song like that. I would love to believe, all human beings connect to music in their own way. It's one of those universal ways to connect with another human being. You may have nothing else in common. Turns out you may like the same band, and that can connect you as humans. And it's my hope that when we come out of this MAGA time, because it will end at some point. At some point, it'll end because he'll die, or he'll go to prison, or he'll keep losing and can't stand it. We can find our way back to each other, kind of like Joe Biden is welcoming all of Nikki Haley's supporters now, welcoming them because Donald Trump called her a bird brain, and he's like, I don't want your vote. So Nikki Haley fans, come on over. You're welcome. We welcome you with open arms, and maybe if you hang out with us long enough,
Biden's been trying to make your life better, even though you engaged in shit talk against him all this entire time, without
the president for all Americans,
for everybody
who didn't vote for him.
None of this, like, these states better be nice to me if they want PPE. None of that shit at all.
That's not how it works with Joe Biden.
It's interesting,
a good man.
Yeah, right? And I think there's an assumption that if it's a blue state, he's going to take care of him, and it's taking care of him. But when emergencies happen, especially lately, a lot of them have been happening in red states. Awful things, have been happening in these areas, and he makes sure that that they're not doing what Trump did. Part of the reason why I think he's so overt about letting people know what the federal government is doing to help these areas and making sure that the funding is there and being out is not just because he would, because in the old way of doing it, you just sign it and that'd be that. You go, you make a slight statement, then go back to whatever the fuck you were doing. But making an overt statement is because Trump was so fucking transactional about it that if he didn't like the fucking governor, the citizens, even ones who voted for him, could go fucking die in a flood for all he cared.
Correct.
Which is just like, and again, that's the part of his voters that shock and surprise me, because those are the ones who are like, dude, if you're in a hard red state or whatever and you feel protected by him, maybe that's, again, the pit bull effect. But if you're in a remotely purple state, half the time he was like, fuck you. Like, your senator was mean to me, or your governor was mean to me.
John,
yeah.
But and we can end on this. The statistic that I saw yesterday was that Donald Trump has spent $100 million just on his legal fees, and it averages to $90,000 a day, and none of that is his own money out of his pocket. That is all grifted MAGA donations, the sneakers, the Trump bucks, the Bible. If he's making videos like, whatever you can send, $5, $10, he is so desperate. He needs the Sarah McLachlan Arms of an Angel kind of music.
I sang it over the Don Jr. one, the Don Jr. video.
Right? But that's where he is. So I want all of you to think about two things. They're going to take away your Social Security. I don't know why you would give them the money that you've earned working your whole life. And he's going to take your money and he's going to save his own ass with it. He's not going to do anything for you.
Right. Well, that's the other thing too. Keep in mind, the shoes, the Bible, all that kind of shit. That's not going to campaign. Never was. And it's not going to pick up the slack like he's going to, I got to make some money for the campaign. And the ways are given, or and you could argue that that's what the Trump stock thing is about, is a way to get around campaign finance so people can give more than they actually can legally give, because he's got so few donors. But a lot of them are these fucking village assholes who will just dump whatever inheritance they were going to give to their kids or their grandkids into his fucking pocket so he can stuff his face with fish delights and shit them out. Like,
meet the new Grift, same as
the old Grift.
So,
right. So
it's true. All right, guys,
Daredevil Rocks, The Sound of Settling is the book. And thanks so much, and we'll see you again real soon. There she goes.
Have a good week.
Bye, Tara. See ya. There she goes. And real quick, guys, before I leave, because we went a little bit long, but I wanted to show you something. Let me open up these pages again, because there were so many other like stories that I also wanted to get to. Where is it? There you go. This guy. A couple of pieces of news that, probably, I could have discussed one of these with the Major, but I just found this one story really fucking fascinating. The Kremlin is demanding that Ukraine arrest its security chief and send him back to Russia. So this guy right here has been accused by that guy over there of terrorism in the it's one of their security chiefs, and he's been accused of terrorism. So he apparently fled someplace in Ukraine, is the idea. Head of the security service attends the Ukraine Year 2024 forum in 2024 in Kiev, Ukraine. That's Russia's demanding that Ukraine arrest its own security chief and extradite him to Moscow. Russian Foreign Ministry accused Vasyl Malyuk of being involved in terrorist acts, which anybody who even talks shit about Putin that's from Russia can be accused of that. It's the same thing that the CCP is doing. Malyuk said in 2023 that his agency had destroyed a bridge in Crimea in October 2022. Demanded on Sunday evening they request the head of its own security services and extradite him to Russia. I don't think that's going to happen. How about fuck off right away? This. Can we we got one we can file under stop asking me to be naive. Kharkiv kindergarten employee arrested for guiding Russian attacks. So this woman who worked at a kindergarten in Kharkiv was basically texting locations if soldiers came through and that kind of stuff, or she knew where they were stationed, or she would chit chat with them and say, "Where are you guys going? Where are you going to be?" She would pass that on to the Russians, and then they would kill the soldiers. She worked at a kindergarten. But also, aren't her rights, her freedom of speech? Shouldn't she have the freedom of speech to talk into a phone and tell the Russians where soldiers are so that they can be murdered? That's freedom of speech, according to Jimmy Dore. This one, okay. Also, one of the things that why Trump is quadrupling down on his anti-immigrant shit is because reasonable people can understand a good border policy. And the Democrats are increasingly seizing that conversation finally. But we have a situation, I think, where because Donald Trump was such a fucking pig about all these discussions, that the counter to that is to go far past normal in defense of it, that everybody must be an asylum seeker, and everybody, it went from, it was kind of like the pegging of the needle and the believe all women, which went well beyond listen to all women and don't interrupt until they're done telling you what they're there to tell you. Then you can break it down and see if she's telling the truth, like everybody else, like every other witness or victim of a crime, right? Yeah. But there was an idea that you don't even question anybody's statement, which is obviously wrong. Do everyone. Because if you do that, it isn't that the women who are saying it are lying or whatever. It's that women who would be liars or people who would want to take advantage of it now go, oh, that's an opening. They don't even ask. I can fuck with anybody, right? I can destroy anyone just by saying something. Those people are who you have to worry about. It's the same thing we talk about with like transgender people versus trenders, or, non-binary slacktivists online who pretend to have this whole thing and are selling it as a lifestyle and making money off of it, versus, people who are genuinely going through what they're going through. And the analogy I like to make is you can believe that Black Lives Matter, and that people like the African-American community has certain issues that they have to deal with, both economically and education-wise and voting rights in a bunch of different areas. But you also don't have to, therefore, think that Rachel Dolezal deserves a a scholarship or a job based on diversity, equity, and inclusion because she says she's black, right? We can understand the difference, right? Any sane person can understand the difference. She's not a black person, no matter how much she said she is one. That's fucking crazy. And it's not black people's fault or responsibility to speak for her. Same thing happens with like transgender slacktivists online or on, the libs of TikTok use and all that kind of shit, right? That has nothing to do with what actual transgender people are going through. Nothing at all. It is not their responsibility to clean that up or explain it. It's not, and what the Republicans often want to do is slam them all together and go, this crazy person who's faking is just like the real thing, and therefore the real thing is tainted with this. Now, do they do that with Jan 6ers and maggots who attack police officers? No, that was somebody else. It was always, that was an FBI mole or something like that, even though the person's in jail refusing to, I guess admit that they did anything wrong, and I don't know. They're really committed to this undercover thing, apparently, some shit, right? So the reason we see a bunch of articles like this on the occasion, Antifa is a great example. Like there are probably people who are out in the streets because they're worried about fascism in America. Then there's a bunch of Antifa members who actually don't give a rat fuck about fighting fascism in a political sense. They're just against democracy as it stands, think that any existence of corporations and any existence of democratic elections at the same time is fascism, and therefore it all has to be burned down, and so they fucking throw Molotov cocktails and shit. That is not being anti-fascist. And again, using a hashtag or a name for yourself doesn't mean that you're that, right? You don't get, just like Mike Pillow's fucking cross on his lapel doesn't automatically give him a Christian pass, when in reality he's an
asshole.
Understand? Does that make sense? Yeah, all right. So we don't have to dive into absolute naivete to be able to discuss asylum seekers and people who are coming here because they're fleeing violence in a country versus people who are just economic migrants who are perfectly fine working under the table or selling drugs or doing other shit or whatever. The people seeking asylum are not on the hook for those people. And if you make everybody an asylum seeker, you treat everybody equally, you say we don't need any kind of, it's just, everybody should be let in and we'll assume all of it, then you're hanging that on the asylum seekers. You're now, and again, that's how you get a country that turns against its asylum seekers eventually. Okay. So we can be discerning. There's nothing wrong with being discerning. And when you're not discerning, that's where they find an opening, and that's where this bullshit starts. That's where you start seeing these. Right? Does that make sense? Everybody with me on this? Just to clarify, by the way, chat room, I haven't seen you guys today on the show. Haitians are in a big threat, are in a big threat, or are a big threat? Well, that's the idea that they want to send. Right? Is Nerd Hailing coming to Madison, Wisconsin after Sexy Liberal? We're trying. We're working on a date attached to every single Sexy Liberal date. Keep your fingers crossed. I think so. Maybe someplace in driving distance, but I don't think we don't have a Minneapolis and a Philly one because that was too soon. And but we have a new booker, I think, and fingers crossed. We got a meeting about it this week, so it's a lot. It's a big needle to thread. So hiya, what's happening? How you missed a lot? I did miss. Well, no, I saw you guys. I just didn't post you online. Yes, I saw that. Yeah, Boston date is in July. So yeah. DJT is tanking. Yes, and it will continue to do so. It's a meme stock, and it will pump back up, and it will dump, and it will pump and dump. And he'll, the kids will sell their stock first, and then they'll buy it back with the debt. And the weird thing is that if he sells the stock, he admits he needs the money, so he's just going to get to watch it just go over time. He'll try to shave some off, like little bits of it, like. But if he loses too much of it, he doesn't have control over it. So that's another. Yeah. Anyways, Phoenix will be very exciting. Albuquerque. Also, very exciting. Hal, do you have a good weekend? I had a crazy weekend, Psycho Deputy. Thank you for asking. I drove all the way to L.A. with a screw in my tire, and then there was a huge accident on the freeway when I came back, and it took me 11 hours to drive back from L.A. So it was kooky. But the show was really fun, the Flapper show. Yeah, there we go. Now, back to this. So this is why Trump's alarmist message on immigration may be resonating beyond his base. The video share features horror movie music footage of migrants purportedly entering the U.S. from countries including Cameroon, Afghanistan, and China. Shots of men with tattoos and videos, violent crime or static. Yeah, it's just garbage. Like, it was, he took shots from actual El Salvador and acted like they were here, and it's just stupid shit. I mean, we've seen these kind of ads before, by the way. Yes, thank you, Eileen. Patreon.com/HalSparks. Support the show also, and thank you for the likes and for resubbing again, Corinne. Bless you. Look at that. Thank you, Corinne. All right, now this is the other one. Where is it? This one. Oh yeah. So this is the other part that's come up a bunch, is that since Marjorie Taylor Greene floated her stupid, impotent, nonsense motion to vacate of Mike Johnson, everybody around her, the other 100 plus that voted for the bill to pass, for the budget to pass, are like, oh, Jesus, fuck this. What the hell's wrong with you? Like, they're so tired of it. It's hilarious. I'll come to Connecticut. We're a blue state. I would love to. I'm trying to add as many dates as we can. That's up to Steph. You guys got to bug Steph about places and find a Live Nation venue, because they picked us up. So, DJT started at 60. Now it's at 47. I mean, it's worth nothing. Let's be abundantly clear. It has no worth. It's a meme stock. And meme stocks can float on idiocy. There's always a bigger idiot. It's very much like a crypto scam. It's, like I said, it's cryptocurrency. That's what they're using. But Mike Lawler, a New York Republican, called her attempt to oust Mike Johnson idiotic. And he's right. How can we get MTG on her? Book sales are really bad. Yes, I would. I think it'd be great. I would have her on. Absolutely. Wouldn't that be fun? Hold on, chat. I'll open it up to another thing, and I want to show you one more thing, and then I'll let you go for the day. This is, where is it? Shit. Go back to here. Trump thanked, and this should come as no surprise to anybody, thanked Cenk Uygur. Yeah, there we go. This is just in case you're wondering if this is an accident. Progressive commentator, hashtag faux-gressive commentator Cenk Uygur, also firmly anti-Trump, citation needed, had a similar view. To me, putting up all the cash up front before you appeal the case seems draconian for everyone, not just Trump. Okay, first of all, asshole, it's a company, not a person. Remember all that bullshit about Mitt Romney going, corporations are people? Well, apparently, after all this time, Cenk agrees. Cenk agrees that corporations are people. Also, he doesn't have to put the money up. He has to put a bond up for that amount. The bond can be secured by 10, 20, 30%. Whoever will take his money and say, this is enough for me to believe you'll be able to pay it or me back, right? That's what it is. Corporations aren't fucking people. He is not being asked, Donald Trump, the individual, is not being asked to put up $464 million plus or whatever. He is being asked to put up a bond during his appeal process because he already fucking lost. He lost. He lost and he deserved to lose. And he's going to lose again. And so a bunch of other companies that he's gone to magically and gotten magic money from before, all of a sudden are like, wait a second, people are going to be paying attention to where we get the money to cover your dumbass, and therefore we'd rather not do this right now. And again, I think I was the first person to bring it up, and I'm glad to see everybody else finally jumping on the train. But if Mar-a-Lago's worth what he says it is, why can't he just get a home equity loan? If it's worth $1.8 billion, which is what he thinks, get a $500 million loan, write off the cost of the loan, and make money on the deal since you're going to win the appeal, you dumb motherfucker. Even if you had to sell the place, you'd still make like $1.3 billion on it. Right? Good Lord. So, not just Trump. Before you appeal the case seems draconian for everyone, not just Trump. Okay, secondly, that's not all the money he stole from New Yorkers. By any stretch. The dude is alleged, first of all, is supposedly his true social thing has just made him $4 billion. So shave off some of that shit, pay your bills and shut the fuck up, and then get the money back, and then sue and make what would be the interest on that money while it sat there. If you're right and you're going to win and you deserve to win, put your money where your mouth is, fuckwad. Secondly, it's only $464 million because they had to stop at the statute of limitations because this motherfucker's been doing the same shit for decades. And he got a pause during the presidency. So the idea that this is all he owes to the people of New York is just fucking dumb. So again, why Cenk is throwing himself in front of the bus for this dumb motherfucker makes no sense, except for who's a big chunk of their viewers these days. They've got, hate watchers probably who still think they're progressive when they ain't. And they've got a huge audience of maggots that, that like somehow that even though they shit on Trump on occasion in really perfunctory, non-specific kind of lame ways, they go after Biden worse. Remember, like Trump was unhinged and gross and blah, 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 but Hillary was a baby killer, right? That was the distinction. And in that situation, what's the lesser of two evils? The woman who's a baby killer, or the guy who, my eyes will fuck around, but whatever. Maybe maybe he'll throw a monkey wrench in the system. Fuck it, right? They played the lesser of two evils game and spent over a year creating a false equivalency around it. Yeah, Trump is a rapist. I agree. Like, there you go. And Hillary was right about him. And these assholes were like, I don't know. And then 2 weeks before the election, they're like, well, oh shit, he might win. You got to vote for Hillary. They lost so many viewers because people were like, wait a minute, I thought you were fucking telling me she's a warmonger and a baby killer, and now you're telling me to vote for her? Who the fuck are you? And then they went over and, I guess, followed Jimmy Dore. That's basically the birth of his whole fucking channel. So, said his progress the answer. But what if he wins the appeal? So you made him sell all of his properties to get the collateral, but then you can't buy them back. So when his lawyer says irreparable harm in this case, financially speaking, it would be irreparable harm. Okay, first of all, no, you don't have to sell your fucking properties to bond them or be able to bond this stuff. First of all, he bragged about having all the money in cash. You don't have to put up all the money in cash as a bond if you can secure it for somebody else. If you're willing to put that money in an account that just keeps getting refed, for example, like you're getting in campaign donations and it goes right out the door, but a certain amount is maintained in your cash reserves, be it, 60% of what's there, then you can get a bond on this stuff. They're just full of shit. That money doesn't exist. He's lying. But if you take him at his word, he's got the cash to do it. And no other candidate gets to just go, I'm supposed to use my millions to run for office. He only lent himself $10 million in 2016. He ran the whole fucking thing off of his people, right? Off of donors. And then used their like he barely used it because he didn't even want to win at that point. Then 2020 was the same shit. Just funneling it into his businesses. Good Lord. So, yeah. Anyways, so his lawyer says irreparable harm in this case. He doesn't have to sell the fucking properties to bond on them. And they don't want him anyways. And he's got the cash. And he only needs, what? Technically speaking, 10% per 100. All he needs is $46 million for the bond. Except here's the problem. All the bond companies have seen the evidence. Say what you will about this terrible judge that's treating him very poorly. But this motherfucker, it isn't, that judgment, those slams don't mean anything to these bonding companies, don't mean anything to these fucking banks or these, insurance companies that do bonds or all the places he reached out. They don't give a shit because they watch the trial. They do this for a living. And they're like, I don't care what you say about the judge. He's right about this shit, and that motherfucker's not going to win. So I'm not putting my money up because we're going to lose it. Because he won't pay us back. And we'll have to buy his properties and sell them, and they ain't worth what he's saying they're worth. I got to say, when I've heard how, like, you look at how much, like, some houses in LA cost and how much he paid for whole buildings in Manhattan, right? Between $4 and $25 million for fucking buildings, whole buildings. The fuck? And never had to pay any tax on the sale and all kinds of stuff because you're doing something great. I don't know, making sure they don't stay idle or vacant, even though they stay idle and vacant as soon as he buys them. Good Lord. Wouldn't be surprised if Cenk voted for Trump. He votes for Trump every day. I mean, the whataboutism, the way that they'll go, the way they let the whole fucking genocide Joe shit fly. It's just lame. Point is, though, and I'll leave with that, is that none of, first of all, whatever Trump's saying about, like, see, even he backs me up, is like, okay. I wouldn't count on that convincing anybody. But it's weird that you have to pull from that you need something Cenk said to back you up in this. But the other thing too is that, like, if he's using your quotes as like, aha, maybe you're not who you say you are. Maybe. Because it's not even that he used something you said in the past and turned it on you and said, I thought people were innocent until proven guilty or something like that around, I don't know, Kyle Rittenhouse or something like that, right? They did that shit all the time. That's fine. That happens. This ain't that. Joe's stance on Israel is worrying? No, it isn't. No, it isn't. He hung up on Bibi Netanyahu in December for a reason. And they've been trying to figure out a way that they don't end up being responsible for another October 7th and another October 7th and another October 7th, because that's exactly what Hamas says they want to do. And that's a real hard position to be in. And anybody who's selling you a binary choice in this situation is doing just that. They're selling you something, and they have nothing on the line. Nothing. Especially the ones who are like, why don't we just stop it? Let's just stop it. It's the same shit the right-wingers who want a ceasefire in Ukraine so that Russia can just keep the land it's got and then keep moving. Yeah, I think you're right, Wes. I think one of these days they're all going to experience the kidney. Hit that like on your way out, folks. Help me out. Go.
I know words. I have the best words.
I'm your huckleberry.
The company that his son worked for, that's Burmese. To me, Corona means Italy. The Burmese executives, so these Burmese, they say, pronounce it Burmese. when they gaze upon Yosemite